welcome to the title scene. I mean, the Tuesday show. Sorry about that. My name is James Chen, and I am, of course, joined by Mr. Ultra David. You'll probably notice that, unfortunately, we are missing one member today. Brandon, aka Tuberware, of course, is not feeling particularly well today, unfortunately. So, we hope he gets better soon, and we hope he feels a lot better quickly. And we'll get him back here in no time. So there you go.
Cool. Yes, indeed. Here's what we're going to talk about today. We got a lot of interesting stuff, especially right up at the front. The Street Fighter V spring update just happened like 2 hours ago. We were there. We streamed it. And we had a lot to say, but we'll have even more to say and also recapping as well. It's very cool. There's other game news to talk about, though. There's stuff for Strive, for KOF, for a couple others. Virtua Fighter, some news even. Wow. We're going to have special guest AutoMattock on here, a.k.a. JiBbo, a.k.a. somebody who I've known for probably 15 years. And we're going to talk a little bit about the old days, but also the current days. A lot of stuff to get to. We have some 5-5 matchup topics that are going to be fun. We have other community news to talk about. Of course, some big tournaments happened, and there's upcoming big tournaments as well. And then we'll get to our mailbag. And yes, we have a Casmer question, and it is better. I would say it's better today.
It made up for the previous Mario Luigi question. Let's just put it that way. So
there have been some slacking ones from him, I would say, but this time it was good.
Okay.
But yeah, let's start by talking about the Street Fighter V spring update. Of course, a couple of months ago, they did the winter update.
Gotta do
which
this.
Did more about Dan, showed us what that character was about, showed us a little bit about Rose was about, gave us a very brief look at Oro during Tengu Stones, like literally a second, 2 seconds long, extremely short. And that was it. It was fast. We liked it. It was really to the point. And look, this time's the spring update, much the same, right? It got to the point. It was very informative. We'll talk about the information, but just as a general feeling about this, informative, quick, but not too quick, and also while at the same time showing a lot of personality with people who are on the show.
Yeah.
And like letting them kind of be cute and funny while still like advancing the information that they're talking about. Yeah. And actually showed off even more than last time. Last time they showed, like I said, brief little bit for Oro. This time they showed more of the third character, who again we'll talk about in just a bit.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the impressions, I know we were kind of gushing and talking about how much we enjoyed the winter update. I feel like they just kept going with it here in the spring update. More of the same. Let's just get right to the information. Show us what we want to see. Give us that sample battle as well, where they hide in a bunch of little things like, look, this crush countered. Look, that crush countered. Oh, here's, you get to see their V reversal. And then they end it with the super, show that you could actually, V shift Rose's fire. Like, and then they gave us more, like, I was even saying, like, if they would even show a glimpse of Akira like they did for Oro in the winter update, I'd be happy. But they gave us a lot more. As you said, we'll get into that. But just overall, I love what Capcom is doing right now. I really feel like they're hitting it out of the park. And, we just live streamed it. And one of the things I said is the way that we've been seeing this game progress right now, especially with how interesting Rose and Oro are turning out, like, my confidence what I could expect out of Street Fighter 6 if Capcom made their own Darkstalkers coming up soon. Like, I feel like I would have more confidence in a lot of the things that they would, produce in terms of fighting games. And man, I'm so excited for this. I'm excited for Rose. How did this happen?
Yeah. No, it is. It's a combination of the game being good and the characters coming out being really interestingly designed and funky. And also, it's this communications. It's how great of a job that they've done of actually communicating with us and the way that they've been doing it. Just something. It's around the summertime of 2020, I think, is when I would say I noticed this significant change. I don't know what could have happened, but anyway, something seems to have happened, and now they are very communicative and just doing a fantastic job. So good job to everybody who is involved in that on the communication side. You guys are doing great. Let's talk about the info, though. Let's talk about the stuff that there is to talk about. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Something changed, but...
Oh, man. I know a lot of people out there are tired of us hearing us do this, but look... I'm just going to leave it at that, okay? All right. So they showed off... First and foremost, I mean, Rose is the character that's coming out, but that's not who they showed first. They actually showed us Oro first. And again, I've talked about it before. People know I'm not as big of a fan of some of the, like half of the cast of Street Fighter 3 I love, half of the cast I don't. Oro is definitely on the side of the I don't love the character design and everything, and like it just doesn't interest me or whatever. But my God, like, did they make him look super cool in this game and like super interesting, and like him trying to take care of this turtle that he's carrying the whole time? So instead of fighting with one arm tied behind his back, he's actually fighting by carrying a turtle the entire time to force himself to fight one-handed and to maintain balance and to be able to protect the turtle. It is amazing. The turtle is adorable, and my God, I can't believe I'm looking at Oro and I'm actually finding reasons to really like the character.
Well, I'm coming at this from the opposite side, as you know, of somebody who really loved Third Strike, and I really loved its funky characters. Q was my favorite. Mm-hmm. You know, I love 12. I like a lot of the characters. I like Remy. Sorry, I think Remy's cool.
Okay, that I didn't know. I knew you liked all the other ones, but Remy, I think we're getting into the realm of unacceptable here.
I think Necro's cool, and I think Oro's cool. I've always thought Oro's cool, and I'm really happy to see him back. And although they did change some aspects of the character graphically, you know, there's a little bit that is left to the imagination that was not in Third Strike, for example. Other than that, he looks so good, and just like how I wanted to. It's, you know, it's really nice, especially over these last 3 or 4 years now, that Street Fighter V has been coming up with good characters and stuff, doing a good job on the game. That when they add new characters from old games that I care about, it's great. It's still a bummer that Alex looks like how he does. You know, he's so cool in Third Strike in terms of how he looks, and in SF5 he just doesn't. Right. And bummer. They're never going to fix that. He's a good character now, but like that side of it is just not going to be different.
Right.
But for Oro, he looks great. He's just as jaundiced and gross and sneezy and sick, and you know, as he was in Third Strike, just as old. And I guess that game takes place later, but like he's 130. The span of time doesn't actually matter at that point, right? It's a tiny percentage of his life between the two games.
I mean, look,
so he's super gross. I love that. It's exactly what I wanted to see from the character. And at the same time, there's a lot of new stuff.
Right.
That is to say, like, some of his moves look different, but there's the flourishes at the end, and those all look great. You were talking about the turtle, but even aside from him tossing the turtle around and catching it and stuff, his flourishes look really good. The secondary costume that they showed, where it's like retirement home Oro, was awesome. That one was so great. So I just from a graphical perspective, I'm really, really happy with how the character looks.
Yeah, and oh man, those flourishes that they gave him, like there was the one where after he does like looks like towards medium punch, he looks at his turtle and he's like gesturing to the turtle, or he had certain moves where he does it and he like looks at the turtle, make sure the turtle's okay. But like people who watched the earlier stream, I need to know the answers to these questions. Like, he does these moves and then he'll toss the turtle up into the sky. That one, you see him reach out and the turtle falls into his hand afterwards and everything. What happens if he tosses the turtle up in the air and then you hit him, or you throw him, or you sweep him? Does the turtle just snap into his hand while he's lying on the ground? Did they give him like special animation to always move his arm into position to grab the turtle? I must know. These are very important details that I need answers to.
Well, you know my theory, because I brought it up when we were streaming earlier. My theory is that it's actually Eddie who's controlling the Oro, and it's a Zato Eddie situation. The Oro's actually been dead for a long time, right. And so, in fact, little turtle is the one who's controlling things. And when it comes to Third Strike, where there's no more turtle, maybe the turtle learned the ability to control Oro from afar, can just do remote control at that point.
Right.
That's what I'm going to go with right there. So in conclusion, the turtle doesn't actually need to be with Oro immediately. And the turtle, if it gets launched up, it'll be fine. It'll just fly right back to Oro because it has that ability.
Because actually, you know, if you actually take the Third Strike screens and rotate it around, you'll actually see the turtle is always in the foreground. You know, we just can't see him because of the camera angle in Third Strike, but he's there every time Oro is on screen, and the turtle is spending the whole time doing this. And just controlling Oro the whole entire time, so there you go.
He just could be in the Oro bag. Maybe he's in Oro's bag that Oro drops from at the beginning of the fight. Maybe he's just hanging out there. Anyway, I love this whole conceit of having a turtle. It's a hilarious character thing, but it also does a great job of continuing the lore that Oro fights one-handed because he's so powerful. So great job. He looks so cool.
God, such a smart way to handle that in the 3D world, you know, and even after he does the throw, I'm sure that's part of the animation because the throw switches sides, but then he like takes the turtle in his hand and moves it to the other hand, and now he can turn around and stuff. It's like the whole thing is just genius. And you know, it's interesting because he seems pretty intact. They gave him one new special move. I'm largely suspecting he's a charge character because, you know, some of the footage that we saw looked like he was crouching there beforehand, etc., etc. But they also gave him this new special move, Kick, which I bet you isn't a charge move. And in fact, in the videos, you could definitely see he walks up and does it. So I think they just gave him that just so he has a non-charge comboable attack. But overall, he looks pretty intact from Third Strike. Like we'll get into Rose in a second, but Rose is like, here's Rose of old and here's Rose. But Oro still seemed like Oro was pretty intact.
I think that's right. Yeah, of course he was a charge character in Third Strike, so even before today, I think that was the expectation, and I agree with you. That is how he looks. Mm-hmm. It's just hard, I think, to say what his play style is going to be because in Third Strike he didn't really have like an archetype. How would you describe Third Strike Oro? He wasn't a zoner, but he could zone. He wasn't a pressure character, but he had pressure. He wasn't a great footsies character, but he had footsies buttons. Like, he's just a really super weird character, and that's part of why I thought he was so cool. But when you're like asking how he's gonna fight in this game, I don't know.
I mean, honestly, it almost kind of felt Guilty Gear-ish the way he was in Third Strike. Do your things until you get the hit, and now you should be able to murder the opponent.
Yeah. You know, get your unblockable series going, or get your Tengu Stones into wild chip damage, or just juggle, or 100% stun combos. Why not?
Right.
So he's going to be different, I'm sure, but he's not coming into this as a character who has an obvious archetype.
Right.
So I'm not sure how they're going to make him play. And in watching his moves, the ones that they showed, I feel like I actually came away with that, A, thinking he's super sick, and B, thinking a lot of his moves looked similar-ish, but C, still not really knowing like how he's going to end up playing this time, which is not bad. I think that's cool because it seems like they gave him enough buttons, enough mix-up tools, enough options that he could play multiple different ways, which is great, right? I mean, that's
in particular,
everybody wants.
Yeah, in particular, I think the double jump is going to be a big deal. Now, as you had pointed out, we had never seen in the video jump forward, neutral jump, jump backwards, neutral. We only saw jump forward, double jump, jump neutral, double jump. You know, jump backwards, double jump. So we're not sure yet if he can control the multiple directions. They might limit that because, you know, obviously you've seen in Street Fighter V already, they've limited a lot of stuff like, oh, Akuma can't jump back and throw air fireball kind of thing, you know. So it'll be really curious to see if they limited that. I mean, I'm kind of hope not. I think the jump animation looked long enough that it seemed like even if you whiffed a normal move anti-air, you might even still be able to pull off an uppercut in time or something like that. So, hopefully they give him that. And him being a crazy mobility character would remind me of, like, for example, Yashimaru in Samurai Showdown being one of the only characters with a double jump, really changing, you know, how he fit into the game, and it was such a powerful thing to have. So maybe that will kind of be Oro's style. He can actually be more airborne and use his little mini Yagyo-dama V skill to get in on people and such.
And it's so cool that that is one of his V skills. I think that looks really fun. That was one of his supers in Third Strike, and I thought that might have been a V trigger. Seemed reasonable to me, but it's V skill instead, and that's cool. So it's going to allow him to approach or zone. I don't know. It's a V skill, so you can charge during it, right? So if he has presumably invincibility on EX uppercut, you know, you could have both the RU zoning side and also ready with your invulnerable anti-air maybe, but also it's slow enough that you could use it to approach. So again, like, I feel like they're giving him quite a few different tools, and as the player, you can then be like, well, I'm going to use these to get in, or I'm going to use these to zone, or like whatever in between. I'm very excited for that side of it. He's got some new looking stuff, but also again lots of similar stuff from before. So I'm super excited. He is really like what I want him to be. Like, I'm, as you can tell, very effusively happy with how he looks in this game.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've never really been enamored with the character, but I'm actually super excited to see him. And like I said, the animations, the model, the way that he looks, I think they replicated him from Third Strike about as best as you could, you know, like some of those characters that have gone from Third Strike 3D style, you know, with backwards legs and French fries for hairs and hair for stuff like that. Like, you know, it's like this didn't really come out quite right. But Oro, I feel like they did a fantastic job with him. I'm excited.
100%. Let's talk about Rose, who's the character who's actually coming out soon. She's coming out April 19th, so just under a couple of weeks from now. And they, of course, showed a lot of her. They showed a match between two Roses, a mirror match. She looks so interesting and experimental almost, especially in the Street Fighter context. And in many ways, quite different, I think, than she did in Street Fighter 4. Street Fighter 4, she had some tech, certainly. Like, she wasn't devoid of tech, but she also was like primarily kind of like mid-rangey to here's my like one pressure button and then I back off. Whereas in this one, she has a teleport and an extra projectile. That's her V skill that does all sorts of things to the opponent's character. And she's got Street Fighter Cross Tekken Jin's fireball that she can just set out.
Right.
And she doesn't have the anti-air leap, but she's got an anti-air like grab instead. And she has V Trigger 2 is her Alpha Super, the Shadows one, and the other one, that's the teleport. And she just has so many weird, very unlike her previous iterations things, and I'm happy about that because I never thought she was interesting. But in this game, now I think that she's going to be cool. I just hope, I mean, look, I hope it's the case that Rose players still think that she's cool. I don't want it to be that characters are made for me, guy who likes weird stuff in fighting games, exclusively. There should be some people who are catered to who like the style that she was before. That's fine. So I hope that they're not upset. But personally, I'm very happy.
Look, when Rose was first introduced in Alpha, like, I just thought she was one of the most boring characters ever, right? Like, I have a fireball. I have a soul spiral where I slide forward and attack. I don't even remember if she had the soul spiral in Street Fighter Alpha 1. She did. But then, like, that's how boring she is. And then she had an uppercut. She was a fireball uppercut, and now I have a forward-moving attack. Like, you could not have created... I mean, it was why I was so disappointed in Poison in Street Fighter 4. Similar kind of thing. I've got a fireball, an uppercut, and I was just like, what is this? You know, and... You know, the only interesting thing about it was her fireball pushed you a screen away. It had that weird pushback effect and all this stuff. But overall, I just thought she was really uninspired as a character. And I feel like this character that they've put into Street Fighter V is so fascinating. It's like, it's less like oh, let's just add tools to this archetype we already had. No, let's actually craft this very interesting idea of a character, so much to the point where her teleport V-trigger, they showed her V-trigger 1 allows her to teleport, only teleports backwards or behind the opponent. So yeah, she's not going to be like some crazy 50-50 teleport, guess which side I'm on kind of thing. Like, she can only go behind you and stuff. And like, I think that's really fascinating that they, you know, now it's a get-in tool if she has the Soul Satellite, which is her V-Skill 1 or no, V-Skill 2.
Right, that's V-Skill, yeah.
And like, I don't know, it's just like the whole thing, it just feels like they're crafting this really intelligent package of a character. And, you know, not to use the phrase again, but it feels very Guilty Gear-esque again. Like, when they design the character, they're very aware of what they want the character to be able to do while still giving you a lot of space to come up with your own stuff. And that's what Rose feels like to me. And again, kind of same for Oro. Like, with Rose, I can't believe I'm excited for this character.
100%. We talked about this as we were streaming earlier as well, but if you had gone back in time and told us that we would be so excited for characters including Rose, me, Oro, yes, but you, not Oro,
Seth,
Gil, Seth, yeah, we would have been like, what are you talking about? I don't want Seth back in this game. It's Seth from Street Fighter 4. Made that character never come back. But sure enough, they've made all of them very unique and interesting and different than before, while still being really cool and retaining important parts of the character from before. So I'm really happy. When it comes to Rose, I'm again not really sure how I think she's gonna play. I've seen, and I think you did refer to her as a zoner during the stream, and I've seen some other people refer to her that way. I'm not convinced. Maybe that's matchup specific, or maybe it's V-skill specific or something like that. But I could also just see her being like a real pressure focus kind of character, where she's putting on Soul Spiral V-skill, not Soul Satellite V-skill, and approaching with that and using that to get in and being really focused in V-trigger at moving forward or teleporting in to create offense, or using the shadows to create offense or to capitalize into some big damage. I could totally see that, and using the Jin Fireball not to zone,
right,
but to create pressure instead. But again, also maybe to zone. I feel like I am really unsure about how I think that's going to play, and that is part of why I'm excited. She doesn't seem like she's clearly one way or the other. It again seems like a kind of situation where, as the player, you can choose to play what you prefer to play. You could express yourself with this character, which is great.
I mean, like, the only reason why I thought maybe a zoner, because they gave her a floaty jump, and she does have an air fireball, which are typically kind of zony kind of things. But
I don't know, man. What about Akuma? Akuma's not. You wouldn't say he's a zoner, right?
Right. And I was just about to say, but the thing is, with the way Street Fighter 5 has gone, though, like, Dalsum doesn't even zone all the time. Like, Dalsum is a rushdown character at times.
He can go in too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Which is one of the things I love about him. Mm-hmm. It's true that she has the V skill where she has the tarot card, which recovers fast. Maybe that is going to help to zone. And so maybe, like I said, maybe it's a V skill choice. If you want V skill 2, you use that to move in. V skill 1, you use that to zone. Could be. I really, it's to my mind quite up in the air, which is exciting.
But again, I mean, we've seen this, pretty consistently since probably, season 4. You know, obviously Honda, Poison, and Lucia all came out really, really interesting. Although, to be honest with you, it really started kind of with Seth and Gil, where I feel like they really started trying a lot harder to make the V skill and the V triggers a little more balanced and such. I mean, Dan came out really interesting in that way. And one of the things that I'm excited about is, it seems like the V-skill, V-trigger combinations can be really interesting with both of the characters, with Oro and Rose, and really create some interesting ideas. Like, yeah, obviously Soul Spiral looks like it's great for the teleport V-trigger, but it could also be really good for the mirror image one, right? I mean, we don't know. Right. There's like so many different possible ways to think about it. And again, a game that inspires you to think about that, I think, is really cool. So, and again, like I said, Street Fighter 5, I feel like has been doing it right for quite some time now. So I mean, we didn't care about Dan being in the game, and after we watched the trailer, we're like, Dan looks so cool. You know, it's like, oh,
yeah,
man.
Even me as somebody who mained Dan in Street Fighter 4, I didn't think that he was necessary to come back. I didn't have any expectation or need for that to happen, and yet I'm super happy that he's in the game. I'm happy that Rose is in the game. I just think that she's very interesting looking. And then the final character that they showed off is one character that you are super excited for.
Yeah, I'm excited, not necessarily for Akira herself. I don't really have any sort of ties to the character, but the franchise Rival Schools, I played a lot of the first game, so I'll put this as a caveat. I played a lot of the first game. Second game, not so much, because the first game was at UCLA when I was there, and I played it a bunch. Very rarely versus. People rarely played that game versus for some reason, so it was just a lot of me beating up on computers and stuff. But as a result, I just have this nostalgia with the game, and you know, it was a game that I really liked. I've thought about a lot. I have probably put in way more time than reasonable in how I would make a modern Rival Schools game, because one, that's probably not happening, and two, I'm not gonna be making it.
yeah.
But like, I've thought about it so much, and so like I'm just at a point right now where, you know, I'm so happy that Capcom has acknowledged it again, brought in one of the characters from the franchise again, and then all I said was like, I just want to see her do an air combo. I just want to see her do an air combo, and they saved that for the very last part of that trailer clip, and as soon as I saw it, I got so hyped because they put it in there. I mean, when CVS 2 came out, I tried to main Kyosuke. It's just that he was bad. He
definitely sucks.
He was not a good character. So I definitely tried to play Kyosuke. And so, you know, the fact that it looks like that they brought back a lot of stuff for Akira, like all of her moves are from the original game, like that little like lunging, punchy, palmy strike kind of thing. You know, a lot of the stuff they gave her was from the game. And then, of course, at the very, very end, they teased Daigo, which is... plot-wise, that's her older brother. In the first game, she showed up. You didn't even know she was a girl until you beat the game with her, and then it revealed she was a girl because she wore the bike helmet the entire time you're fighting. And then eventually, after that, helmetless Akira got unlocked as a character that you could pick. And she was there investigating what happened to her older brother Daigo. And then in the second game, she was teamed up with her brother Daigo, and Daigo showing up at the very, very end, doing some crazy divey, smashy thing and blowing up Dan, and then walking away with her going, "Thanks, bro," you know. Was amazing. And again, you know, we've often talked about like how much we love when guest characters are handled well, Haomaru in Soul Calibur, you know, Geese in Tekken and such. And in a way, Akira feels that way, and the way it feels like that they're bringing in so much of the Rival Schools-ness, I think, is really well done. I mean, chef's kiss kind of thing. So,
somebody who doesn't have any familiarity with that game, I'm not coming into this expecting or needing to see anything really. I just don't have the kind of knowledge about it. But I am really happy to see that you think that that is there, because you're totally right. Like, we have definitely talked about how we think guest characters, when done well, are really, really cool. So it's awesome that they're doing it right. I think that's really great. And as far as the other stuff that they showed off, things that stand out in my mind, or that it seemed like she has good-looking animations. I liked a lot of the animations. Her face actually looks different to me than like every other face in this game, and I feel like too many of the, especially women characters, are just interchangeable. You don't know who they are until they start, like, they're doing that little neutral dance or whatever it is, right, in the game. Whereas her, I think she actually looks unique, which is cool. And then her moves look interesting. She's got some big corner carry options in there. Looks like she got some mix-up options in there. The brother coming in for what I assume is like a big V-trigger call. Yeah. Right? It's probably like a couple stocks of the V-trigger guy coming down or something like that. Or maybe it's just one, like it's Mika's V-trigger or something, right? Where her friend comes to play. I could see that. So I don't really have the background with her, but I still think that she looks really cool and she might be interesting.
Even the motorcycle was nicely rendered. But I mean, one little funny piece of lore here is that this game came out around the same time that Street Fighter 3 was released as well. Because I always remember people going, wow, they put Daigo in one game and Alex in another game. You know, so people were like, "Oh, are they paying homages to the best players, you know, in the world and stuff?"
Interesting.
Alex Vi and a Daigo, you know, Umahara.
Do you think that could be real?
I don't know. Probably.
I've never heard that theory before. That's very interesting.
Probably not. It's probably just a crazy coincidence, but it was funny. It was funny at the time that we used to think about that. So.
That's awesome. I've never heard that before, but that's very cool. I'm just gonna say that that's absolutely right in my own headcanon.
Yeah.
So we don't have a date for her. We don't have a date for Oro, but again, April 19th is when Rose will come out. I was hoping we wouldn't see, and I'm glad to see that they didn't talk about any game balance changes. I just don't think that the game needs that. You know, later on in this thing, as you can see, we're gonna have AutoMattock. We'll talk a little bit about SF5 and kind of where it is right now. But I don't think it really needs any specific changes at the moment. So. Well, maybe Dan doesn't need an infinite, but whatever. Like nothing that's major, or maybe he does. I don't know, depending on how you think about it. So anyway, I'm glad about that. There's also, don't forget, the super sick collaboration between your boy Zed, your favorite, and Street Fighter.
Yeah, I
know
Zed,
you're very excited for. You're waiting for the drop.
Zed, I definitely. You know, he helped me do a lot of the Street Fighter, the Evo intros back in the day. You know, he was very integral in the fighting game community. Red Rapper, obviously doing a lot of really cool things. He was even on the DS commercial. Oh, wait, this is a different Zed we're talking about, right?
Well. Look, I don't mean to rip on it too badly. I think it's cool that Street Fighter has collaborations with popular artists. Zed this time, Steve Aoki last time. I'm all for that, even if I'm not like particularly up on the times. But I think that's great. And clearly, there's somebody at Capcom who just happens to be a real whoever's in licensing is really big into electronic music. They sought out Steve Aoki, they sought out Zed. They're just getting their own personal favorites, right? I mean, which would be sick. I mean, that's look. I don't know that I would be able to say I wouldn't do the same if I had that position. Just reach out to all my favorite artists and be like, "Hey, do you want to be part of this thing that I'm on?" That sounds cool.
You used to be a big EDM fan, right?
So, to the extent that I still listen to music, it's basically trance from before 2003, I would say.
Okay.
And maybe not just trance, but like electronic music in general, from before that time. And blues. Those are my. But I'm not opposed to music or anything like that. Right. I just tend to listen to other stuff.
Right.
Podcasts, for example. So yeah. Anyway, I think it's cool. It's not stuff that I'm super interested in myself, but I hope everybody who is enjoys it.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, again, you know, the awareness that it might build up from other communities. And again, one of the biggest things about it, though, is that all these artists who are collaborating with it, you know, they're genuine Street Fighter fans. And it's, again, you know, I talk about this, you know, for someone who was so cognizant and engrossed in it when the Street Fighter 2 boom really took a hold of the world. You know, it's just such a strong indication of how powerful the brand of Street Fighter is. You know, you hear people all the time like, I only became an artist so I could draw Street Fighter characters. Everybody knows Street Fighter. And so it's really cool to see these people do these collaborations, because a lot of the people they'll reach will probably have very similar kinds of feelings for Street Fighter. The whole, there's a 5? I never knew they made it past 2, you know, like, but, you know, it brings the awareness in there. And, you know, I've obviously been having a lot of conversations on Twitter recently about how to try to grow the awareness and the audience for fighting game communities. It's something I always think about. And so, you know, while we can joke about it because, you know, you and I, we're not hip enough to know who Zed is, to me, it's still an important kind of thing to have these kind of collaborations to bring the awareness and, you know, get people to be aware that this is a thing.
My favorite musical acts from that time are Scott Brown and Roller Girl. Let's move on to the next one. We're going to be talking about other game news, some other stuff to discuss.
Oh, that reminds me. Speaking of your past, I'll wait till next week to read, because I promised that I would read the fan fiction, the Avatar fan fiction on stream, unironically. And so we'll wait till next week when Tubaware is back. Again, if you guys just tuned in, unfortunately, Tubaware is ill, not feeling well right now. We do wish him a speedy recovery. By the way, I'm not going to get into it because I'll start getting really angry, but U.S. healthcare sucks. But hopefully, we hope Tubo a speedy recovery, of course.
Okie doke, let's move on to the next one.
Okay. Oh, by the way, before we move on to the next one, that damn theme remix at the end was sick.
That was awesome. That was actually great.
It was so good, dude. It was so good. Oh, man, I was bobbing along to that thing, dude. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't bopped that hard since the last time I was listening to Roller Girl. What?
That was what, like 2 days ago, maybe, or something?
Yeah, it was Monday or Sunday or something. I don't know. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Let's talk about some of the game news.
Oh, man. All right.
For example, in Guilty Gear Strive, they had another developer's backyard. I really like these write-ups that they do, and they have streams surrounding it as well. Wow, in the meantime, thank you very much to Wild Monk SFV for the 5 gifted subs. High five.
Total of 55 gifted subs in the chat. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Woo!
So
No, that was for bits, right? That was for bits.
That's right, yeah. Developer's Backyard. They talked about some stuff. Here's some of what they talked about. They talked about the most popular characters in Strive, and I don't know that there was a big surprise on this front, but which character did you use the most during the open beta? Japan, Ramlethal. Asia, Seoul. North America, Ramlethal. South America, Giovanna. Europe, Ramlethal. Oceania, Ramlethal. Which character did you like the most? Japan, Ramlethal. Asia, Ramlethal. North America, Ramlethal. South America, Ramlethal. Europe, Ramlethal. Oceania, Ramlethal.
Dude.
So maybe a trend there of some kind.
I had no idea Ramlethal was this popular.
Me neither.
And I think a lot of it probably comes from the fact that everybody wanted to play her in Exerd, but she was such a weird character that nobody did, like me. And
nope, definitely not the reason. Definitely not. Definitely unrelated to gameplay.
It's because she has a cute dog that she doesn't know that's real or not, right? So that's
Is that actually a story?
Yeah, that's part of the story. Look, because the thing is, she has no emotions. Sin tries to bring out emotions, make her laugh, smile, so he gets her a little puppy dog, and she starts to form a bond with the puppy dog, but then she starts getting all existential, like, is the puppy even real and stuff? Which, one of my favorite things I ever did, because you remember Marie and Callie from Splatoon, how they had like the Splatfests. Like, I actually made a parody of the Splatfest using Elfelt and Ramlethal because it like matches the personalities perfectly, and like,
oh yeah,
I was super happy with my it's one of my favorite tweets I've ever made. So.
Okay, it's very specific, but nice work. Anyway, yeah, it's just the Jury fans who are.
I mean, like, that's
the Guilty Gear version of Jury fans.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because right away, Rick the Hadou joked. He was like, "I guess I need to make sure for my next combo breaker merch, I have to put Ramlethal on there." And I responded with, "Yeah, that would be quite the feat." So there you go.
Whoa! Yeah, he's gonna be selling Ramlethal brand shoes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, she seems like a popular character.
I mean, I want you to note that in that whole entire list of most played character, Potemkin was nowhere to be found.
Nowhere to be found. He wasn't top 5 in any of those regions.
And exactly. And if he was really as broken and top tier as everyone says he was, everybody would be using him all over the place. So clearly, by not being used, he was awful. Worst character in that beta. And so all of my victories were completely self-earned victories with Potemkin.
When you beat Fenrich, it was absolutely deserved.
It was
absolutely deserved by Potemkin. Anyway, buff Potemkin.
Exactly.
So that we can see some honest footsies, a masterclass in waiting for the correct moment. Good old boy Potemkin. He was number 5 in which character do you like the most in Oceania, but that's the only time he appeared on either of these lists.
Poor Potemkin.
Anyway, I think that's really cool. And then they talked about which modes you liked, which ones you didn't like. We all took it.
They can't be ashamed that they played a broken character if that many people were playing Ramlethal, okay? I'm just saying. She was hella good in that beta.
So, as far as the various game modes, you remember in the little poll that they had after the game, after the beta, one of the things to ask you was, do you like these various modes? Very good, good, average, bad, or very bad? And versus mode got, of course, very high marks, because that's great. Training mode got high marks.
Yes, training mode was ridiculous in that game.
The network online lobby had more than 50% bad or very bad.
Right.
Bummer. Even though it was so great online. It's just that lobby was not good. And everybody knew that. So they talked about it. They gave a lot of feedback on, their views on it and how they checked the result data and the replays, and they kind of watched how it went, and they got all this feedback and stuff. So they talked about plans that they have to fix things. So, some specific stuff like after winning a match, player stays where they are in a battle-ready state unless their rating changes, adding a rematch option for the specifically online mode, expanding the area in each lobby, adding an option to hide the news display, adding dash movement for avatars so you don't have to slowly walk everywhere. So they're trying to make some changes. Hopefully that results in it not being garbage. I guess we'll see.
I know it's a very unpopular opinion. Obviously, I don't like the lobby system. The lobby system is flawed, has a lot of problems, but I like the lobby system. I like what they're trying to do with it. One of the things that I've always said is that I feel like the online environment is just not conducive to making you feel comfortable and wanting to stay and stuff, by making people seem more like there's an avatar on the screen to recognize and oh, there's that guy that I fought a while ago. Maybe I want to get my revenge on him, etc., etc. Building this kind of feeling to it, I think, is the right direction. It's just really poorly implemented. So again, I like the concept. So I'm glad they're keeping it, and I'm glad they're trying to work with it. I'm sure there are plenty of ways to bypass it and just do menu-only lobbies and stuff, but I think in the long run, I think this will actually be beneficial if they can make it work. And I'd rather see them try. Honestly, because the thing that I'm tired of right now is that we're so stagnant in what we're trying to do with the online games. And, this was part of the conversation I've been having on Twitter recently. I'm tired of fighting games not being popular. I'm tired of talking to everybody saying, I hate playing fighting games because this is just not fun and it's miserable and stuff. And so, if they can figure out a way to try to add more personality to it, if they can figure out a way to make it feel more personable and like that, I'm for it. Let them have that shot as long as they still have the menu version available. That's how I feel about it. So,
well, we'll see if they do a better job.
And I'm gonna say this. I think it is broken. So the question is, why the hell fix things that aren't broken? I think the current ranking matchup system is extremely broken. I think it's terrible. And I've been saying that for a while. So I want to see people try to do something different. I really do. I'm tired of how the online works in fighting games right now. I think it's absolutely broken and is absolutely contributing to why fighting games are not as popular. So
everybody rated the visuals high.
Of
obviously.
course.
We all knew that was going to happen because it's beautiful. There's actually one sliver at the end of this chart for somebody who voted very bad on the visuals. And if you've it just goes to show that it doesn't matter how good a thing is going to be. There's always going to be that contrarian who pops in there and has to give a thumbs down. It's just that's how it is, unfortunately. But in the real world, this is actually one of the most beautiful fighting games of all time. And positive marks all over the place. More than 50% very good for everything, which I think is basically accurate, which is cool. But they nevertheless had some feedback specifically.
I believe that person misclicked and didn't realize it or read the question wrong.
Yeah, right, yeah. I feel like if you don't like this art style, say that this is not your art style, you can still be like, yeah, that art style, it's not the one that I favor, but like, super sick job at that art style. Fantastic job at that art style, right? Anyway, somebody disagrees with that statement. They gave a lot of feedback about things like people saying the damage too high, which is too high. And they were basically like, yeah, we're going to adjust that. And then Roman cancels aren't interesting, but I felt limited by...
The funniest thing is they're like, yeah, the damage is too high. We'll see if we can adjust that, but we're not going to adjust that. Because they're like, that's kind of the intention of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it says, in general, however, the damage will remain high, as that is part of GGST's design.
Mm-hmm. And again, that I'm fine with. And if it just turns out...
Yeah.
And again, we want to start with 2 out of 3 at all the tournaments first to make sure, because we never know. But if the matches do end up being fast, let's change it to 3 out of 5 rounds then. And
it's all good.
I'm cool with that. 3 out of 5 and high damage. I'm cool with that.
I'm not going to stress about it.
Yeah.
Jumping is too strong. Okay, we determined that this needed improvement and have made significant changes, so anti-air is going to be a little bit better. Good. Get rid of the infinites. Yeah, come on. So they had specific feedback to some of these, but in general, I think a lot of us thought it was cool. Everybody liked the actual rollback netcode, of course. And at the end of this thing, they say, we are planning a second open beta test based on the players' feedback. The timing has yet to be determined, so we don't know when that's going to happen. But it will happen at some point, which is great. Yay, there's going to be a second beta before the game comes out. Of course, it was delayed until June. Originally, it was supposed to come out like almost now, I think, like early April or mid-April, very soon. Obviously, that's not happening. It's going to be a while, but we will get another beta test before the final thing comes out.
I mean, I'm happy about that to play my nerfed Potemkin.
You're nerfed. Yeah, you think they're going to nerf him? Yeah, it seems likely. June 11th is when the game's going to come out, of course.
Yeah. No, but that's really cool, though. I mean, we just talked about what Capcom is doing, and we've been gushing and praising them. And I know some people are mad about this lobby thing, the high damage thing, whatever. But, I mean, what Arxis is doing, again, I'm going to gush about this, too. Because, frankly, this backyard developers, the communication is fantastic. They're really taking the poll results into account. They're really listening to people. And on top of that, they delayed the game to make sure that they've made the lobby better than it was before, right? And so they're going to give us another beta to try again. And, hopefully they don't delay it again. But still, it's like, it's really cool that they're taking the time to make a much stronger game. Like the Miyamoto quote, right? A bad game is... if you release the game bad, it's bad forever. I don't remember the quote, never mind.
Can't get fooled again. I know.
Yeah, exactly. Fool me once, shame on, whatever.
You can't get fooled again. No, you're right. It's great. Good job out there.
Who do you think you are? I
am. Anything else to say about Gear?
Just excited. Just really, really excited.
100%. In King of Fighters 15, King is in the video game. We saw a trailer for King last week.
Right.
What do you think?
I mean, I know a lot of people are really, really down on the way that she looked. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the 5-5 matchup Ultra Chen. I actually was fine with how she looked. Like, the animations clearly were recycled from 14, right? And you can see it. Like, Shune's animations weren't as strong, etc., etc. And then Yashiro and Shizuru, who are brand new characters, look absolutely fantastic and stuff. So you can tell that they're probably working on the newer characters more so than the older characters. I actually liked a lot of the decisions they made for King, though, just like from a design standpoint. I like the way that she appears more gruff, that she's like more rough and tumble. I like the fact that, even the voice actress, some people were complaining about the voice actress thinking that, she didn't sound right anymore, but, it's the same voice actress. And so, like, it's definitely a conscious decision to make her feel more serious and stuff. And, I kind of like that. I like that design choice about her. Model-wise, I think she looks fine. Animations, are definitely a problem. But, like I said, at this point in time, we'll discuss it more in the 5-5 matchup. But I'm overall happy with it, so... Yeah, and her combos were awesome too. The combos that she had in the game were awesome in the trailer.
I think she looks real bad, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. It's cool that she's in there. She's a cool character. I think that her voice sounds cool too. That's not my point of complaint. I think that's pretty cool, actually. I played her in 13. She was one of the characters that I played.
Yeah, she, from a, reveal standpoint, it's interesting now because if they were going to release a character, the only team, that she would probably be going with is Yuri Sakazaki. And so now the question is this going to be an Art of Fighting team or is this going to be the women's team? Is Mai going to be the last character on the team? The thing about it is they've usually been saving the leader of the team for the last character, and that would technically be King. Right, King has always been kind of the actual leader of the women's team. They might save Mai for the end because she's Mai, but if they are trying to reveal the leader at the end, that might mean that the team is actually Ryo, and then King and Yuri, because that would make sense too. So it's interesting. Okay. We'll see how that works out. So
cool, man.
Okay.
All right, there's a little bit of news on Fighting EX Layer Another Dash. It's now available on Switch in Japan. The graphics are a little reduced, but that makes sense because it's the Switch. It's cool. It'll be available elsewhere later this month. It's available for free right now for 4 characters. That's what you can play if you do the free one. And then if you want to get the full game, it's $25. Check that out. And then...
Aren't they adding new features to it or something like that?
Yeah, it's different. That doesn't have the Gogi system.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to see it without that system because I wasn't a fan of that system in the first place. One of the reasons why I never really got into it. I would actually honestly love to see them take away the chain combos from the game. That's like the part that made me the most sad because like it just didn't feel right to have the chain combos, but... I'd love to. I'm definitely. I didn't know it was free on Switch, so I'm definitely gonna try to download it and check it out. So, no more.
I downloaded it earlier today, and I haven't played it yet.
Okay, yeah. I
mean, wait, no. I planned to download it earlier today, and it's not actually available outside of Japan yet.
Oh, okay. And Hi-Fi's saying that people love the gameplay so far. Completely new gameplay, no running, more traditional. Okay, so that actually piques my interest a lot. So. I'll check that out.
Fighting EX Layer Another Dash. Also, remember last year there was an announcement that was like kind of an announcement, not any specifics. Virtua Fighter X Esports.
Right.
Remember that from last year?
Yeah.
We had no idea what it was. Is it Street Fighter? If it's Virtua Fighter 6, or is it an update to the last Virtua Fighter? Well, it seems like it might be an update to the last one because there is actually in Korea a rating came out for Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown, which is, I mean, nothing announced, obviously, but is plausibly an update to Final Showdown.
And again,
that's all I got for you on that one.
Look, I mean, I can read the chat right now and see how overwhelmingly excited people are about this game concept here. But again, if this is a real thing and it's a remake of the, just a re-release of the former Virtua Fighter with online and stuff like that, there's a good chance it'll probably be pretty cheap to buy. And, it's probably a way to gauge interest in Virtua Fighter again. And Virtua Fighter is still a game that the fans of the game really enjoy. And if they can release a cheap version of Virtua Fighter that people can try to get into and finally try to see what's up with Virtua Fighter and why everybody who is a big fan of Virtua Fighter absolutely gushes about the game, I think this is kind of a great way to do this. And so, look, I know I'm always trying to look at things from a more optimistic standpoint, but, you know, I think that this is... I just don't like. There's no way that this is bad to me, you know. Like,
okay, yeah, it's not bad news. Yeah,
you're not gonna get them to make, yeah, and it's even in free in Yakuza already, right? Like, to me, I just feel like you're not getting Virtua Fighter 6. It's just not happening. And so the only way for it to happen is if this Virtua Fighter 5 comes out, people play it, and then there's tournaments for it, and all of a sudden people are like, whoa, this is cool. And then maybe they can pitch to Sega and be like, hey, can we make a new Virtua Fighter, right? And I just, like I said, I can't see this as a negative. I'm excited about this, and I hope this succeeds if it's a real thing. So
that sounds right to me. I'm not in the camp that thinks that it's bad news, but it's also like not great news,
right?
Maybe is it a rebalance? Is there like new character? So obviously we have no idea. We don't know what this is really, or even if it's real. Maybe they just did a rating and for no reason. It's probably real, but you know, it doesn't seem like it's VF6. Hopefully that happens someday for people who care about it. It's a very popular game. And
if they made it free to play through some form, I think it's cool. It's cool.
Dude, Virtua Fighter 5 came out, boy, I want to say actually 15 years ago. Is it actually 15 years ago that it came out?
I would be surprised if it was that small. It feels like so much long ago. Oh, it is actually
2006. Curly is really when it came out. It actually was 15 years ago. Wow.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So in other words, there's a lot of players in our scene that are younger than that, right? So
yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all I got for game news.
Okay.
So, I propose that we bring on AutoMattock.
All right. Let's take a quick break, and then we will get AutoMattock on here and talk to him all about, you know, his labbing, his experimenting, what he thinks of Street Fighter V and content creation and all that stuff. We will be right back very shortly.
So we're actually in the Ultra Chen call, so we should hop over to the show.
Oh, you're right. Of course. Okay, let's do that. He's just chilling. Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Ahoy.
He was just chilling there by himself. He's like, where is everybody?
I'm over here following directions.
Yeah, well, this is usually where we do the whole thing from, but we didn't, and accidentally did it on another part of this. So
it's all gravy.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm just happy to hear your voices.
Hey, buddy.
And also, we are live on the stream right now. We always stream the audio at this part, as a lot of people know. So don't say anything crazy, okay?
Don't get weird yet.
I was just gonna come out the curtain swinging. Yeah, I hate the new games. They're all trash. Oh, hey everybody. Nice to see you. Yeah, I'm AutoMattock. Today's video, we're gonna talk about frame data.
Man. But thank you for coming on here and hanging out, and definitely always.
Hey,
yeah, it's my pleasure.
Can you do your screen share again?
Oh yeah, that's right. I need that. I need that. Oh, that's right. I need to do that. Okay, you're talking. Okay, yeah.
Cool, dude.
Akira SoundCloud gathers under night. This is some good stuff, man. I'm grooving.
Hey, you used to do music yourself, right? I mean, you were...
yeah.
You actually had... I got you to do one of the songs for one of the EVO intros, didn't you? Didn't I at one point or something like that?
I worked with Ian Colfino on some of their trailers. I did the trailer for Tekken Tag? I forget. But, man, I feel so bad. This guy won a Grammy. He edited the video.
Seth Mussey.
Yeah. Hey, I worked with him. It was crazy.
Yeah,
but I was just reviewing my SoundCloud library yesterday, and I had one of those moments where I'm like, I'm gonna post on Twitter. I'm coming back. I'm gonna learn how to do this again. But yeah, I do want to get back into music. I have been learning how to use Ableton, so I can get back into it and start. Okay. I've been studying film. I got the music going. I'm trying to get back into streaming.
Yeah, Seth.
Kind of on and off here. But
just as an FYI to people in the chat, Seth Mussey was one of the guys who he did stuff for Season's Beatings. And when I saw the stuff that he did, I was like, this is amazing. So I asked him, I through the Season's Beatings guys, I contacted him, got him to help with Evo, and then he'd been basically doing Evo since then. And it's really cool. His stuff is so good.
Yeah, he's super sick. There's no surprise he got to where he was.
Yeah. Emmy winner. Whatever.
And I don't know if you heard of this producer named Knowledge. He pops into a lot of Sagat streamers chat, and some of them are legit fans of him. Like he's also an Emmy award-winning producer. He worked with Anderson .Paak. He's amazing. And I didn't really know about him until he popped up in the chat. And then I looked at his music. I was like, man, this is my kind of... It's so good. And there happened to be one stream that I was playing my music, and he was in the chat at the time. And he was like, bruh, you should be making stacks. I was like, oh, man, that's such a massive compliment, but it cuts me deep at the same time.
Dude,
because why am I not doing this? I need to be doing this.
Yeah, that's a great compliment, dude. That's awesome.
Super cool, though.
Yeah, he's a real cool. He's like so normal. I feel like I'm friends with him, you know.
All right, time to quit fighting games here, man. Get back to them.
I mean,
hey, you ready to come back?
Yep. All right, let's do this. You ready to jump in here? All right.
I'm all ready. I got a salute propped up.
Ooh.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Tuesday show. For the next segment, we're bringing on Mr. AutoMattock. And so let's do this. Let's bring him on. And there he is. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, folks? I'm AutoMattock, also known as JiBbo, a long-haired Yang / Gen player in Street Fighter 4.
Okay. I love your relationship with the name JiBbo. It cracks me up, dude.
It's almost like my real name, where my first name is David Paul. It's two names and it's hyphenated. I have to go through this explanation every time I introduce myself to somebody new. So your first name is David Paul. What's your last name? Do you got a middle name? It's almost the same way with JiBbo and AutoMattock. Like, aren't you JiBbo? Why did your name say AutoMattock? I think I have a thing for just explaining identity.
Now, was that just like a music versus for those people who weren't listening during the break there? Obviously, you have some music background and wrote a lot of music as well. Is that just like one of them's the music name, one of them's the fighting game name, or something?
I wanted to merge it. I didn't want my music name to be JiBbo, because JiBbo is a word I made up from a high school, like North Carolina history. I saw a word that looked cool, and I just changed the vowels around, and I played like first-person shooters where, you put like little Maxi, little O that goes this way. And I also just liked having a short name because it was easy to log into SRK. I had a really short password also, so I just
me too.
And that would not fly today.
I was definitely 3-letter password. That was the minimum on SRK. What? Oh yeah. What? Anybody could have hacked me whenever they wanted. Nobody did.
It was your initials. It was the name of a Japanese Q player. It's a TM.
You already could have hacked me. You actually already could have.
Got the
you
read.
had to read on me.
Man, I wish we played back in those days. Oh, sorry. Okay, my bad.
This is about what we're going to talk about right now. So we are going to talk about modern stuff, Street Fighter 5, and before that, Cross Tekken and SF4 and stuff. But yeah, let's start at the root of this. When did you start playing fighting games? When did you get into like the competitive FGC?
I first started getting rejected from playing fighting games when I was but a wee child, and my brothers would play on Super Nintendo. Uh-huh. And these mother brothers would tell me that they started a tournament, and then I couldn't play with them, so I had to go be sad in the living room. I wanted to play with my brothers.
How many brothers?
Well, I have 4 older brothers, but it was just two of them, the two menacing next in line younger.
So they had a 2-person tournament, and you weren't allowed.
You know these excuses you give to your family so you can continue playing. They were in that one more vortex. They don't want to give up the sticks, you know?
Oh, man.
The oldest brother of 3 brothers, whose youngest brother is 7 years younger than him, I definitely get it. We definitely pulled the same shenanigans.
They give you that you're playing Mario and they say it's on 2 players, but they just give you a controller. It's not even plugged in.
Right.
Funny. Yeah, definitely. And there was the time that I really wanted my youngest brother's sushi, and he was really young. This is just basically a story about me taking whatever I wanted from my youngest brother. And I convinced him that one of the sushi options was the ginger fish. Don't you want to eat your ginger fish instead of the actual sushi over there on this side of the plate? And so he was like, "Oh, this is a fish. This part over here is this is the sushi." And I was like, "Oh yeah, totally, dude. Why don't you have the rest of the ginger fish? I'll give you all of mine, and I'll take the rest of the California rolls."
Oh, geez, sushi bamboozle.
As a youngest sibling, I'm with you, AutoMattock.
So then, if you started playing early, when did you begin sort of taking it more seriously competitively?
Oh, well, you know, you go to the mall, maybe you're shopping for clothes that year in school or whatever. You pass by, you see the arcade. Oh, man, it smells gross. But look at that. I recognize that game. I want to go play it. Is that Street Fighter? Is that CVS 2 and Super Turbo? Is that a hacked SVC Chaos? Never heard of it, but it looks weird. I just wanted to see what that was all about. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too deeply into it, but maybe something came out of that feeling of rejection when I was younger. Like, to have that friendship with people that were, like, older. They're cooler, you know? So I want to see, like, I want to play games and I want to, you know, figure out what's going on here. It had really not much to do with competition. It was more about finding the hang, like, it's building community, finding friends.
Interesting.
It's really interesting. So
as far as that competitive aspect of it, I did play CVS 2 for the first tournament, and I went 0-2. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't jump at my opponent. Every time I would jump at Eagle, he would just pow. Like, what is this? And then I played some Third Strike, and I actually won a match. So I was like, maybe I'll play more Third Strike.
What year was that?
Oh, jeez, man. I think I was fresh out of high school, maybe in high school. At that time, my next youngest brother, who was mentioned in the chat, yeah, dude, 120%, another prominent SRK poster. He was really big in the, like, making avatars and stuff.
But I knew that you guys were brothers. That's
really?
Maybe I did. I don't remember.
I don't think I knew that, actually. Okay.
We were known locally as the Power Pat Bros. So I was pretty quiet back in those days, but my brother, he was always like doing some crazy shenanigans. He would always pat people on the back in the arcades if they did something cool or they beat him, like, "Hey, good job, dude," and they would pat. And then I, guilty by association, became Power Pat number 2. Oof. If it were up to the arcades, my identity would be Cockroach or Power Pat Bro number 2. Thanks to dude.
Oh man,
but
look.
But yeah, we used to play a lot. Like, every day I would come home from school, we would play Third Strike on PS2, which is one of the worst versions of it. But we didn't know any better. Sometimes on Dreamcast, my brother had this massive collection of fighting games, like everything. So we would play, and mostly we played Third Strike. And I'm sorry to like ramble on, but my brother wanted all of the like system settings and system directions to have like chain combos, all the supers, all that stuff.
You could do that in Series 2, yeah.
I want to play at the arcades. I can't chain light, medium, heavy at the arcades. Can we go to the regulars? Like, let's do it. You know, I want to play over there.
Was this maybe like 2003 at this point, or what?
That sounds about right.
One of the things, though, I mean, I saw some people in the chat talking about this. They actually weren't aware that AutoMattock and JiBbo were the same people. Like, they were like, whoa. And in fact, that Saber versus Alex Vi match got kind of famous on the internet. You were part of that team, weren't you? The team that Saber was on, weren't you?
Oh, there's some stories there, but yes, I did end up on that team.
Okay.
So
that a different team. I ended up on the wild card team.
Yeah, so
what event are you talking about?
So it was at Evo. Street Fighter 4 first came out. They did a region tournament, and you ended up on basically the wild card.
Wild card,
right?
2009.
Man, there's a lot to unpack here. But yes, yeah. I don't know if we want to get into it, but I did end up on that team. Yes.
I don't want to talk about that yet. I do want to talk about that era, but I first want to talk more about Third Strike. So at that time, I moved to the East Coast to DC in 2005, and I was there until 2008. And during that time, I played with the Maryland, Virginia dudes, and we had a good scene. And we would get players coming to our monthly from, as far away as New York, sometimes Pennsylvania, Jersey dudes came down. Occasionally, North Carolina came up. And we actually went down to North Carolina a couple times. I was down in Greensboro maybe a couple times to play games with the North Carolina heads. And I didn't know that 12 years later I'd be getting married in that same city, which is true. I never thought about that until right now, but that's true. So at that time, right, the North Carolina scene didn't actually get that much attention compared to some other scenes, right? LA, New York is what people like talk about typically. But there were actually a lot of good players all over the country, and one of them was North Carolina. So talk to me about the OG, maybe not OG, but the mid-zeros North Carolina scene.
It's hard to pinpoint like a celebrity type figure, but I do remember Isaac Graham, who I was not a Marvel 2 player, but I remember that first tournament that I went to at that arcade in Fayetteville, North Carolina. They were talking about like Isaac Graham's gonna be here. I'm like, who's Isaac Graham? Who's he? Like, what is it? And you see the person who's apparently like one of the best Marvel players. He beat Justin Wong's Magneto one time. He didn't win, but he took out the character. It was like one of those kinds of situations.
Yeah, you were a celebrity if you could do that 100%.
Yeah, and you just see the person, and they have this look to them. Like. In the 80s, you see like a weird gamer kind of action, and like I was like, oh, that's one of those guys. He's like super good. And there was a few of those around there. Like at the time for Third Strike, there was a guy named Jive Turkey Jones, but that was actually before my time. Like by the time I started playing around, he wasn't really playing anymore. And then you had Cajun Strike. I'm sure I'm forgetting it's just so many people that are now my close friends to this day.
Yeah, Face was down there at the time.
Face just came back from Japan.
Did he really? Okay.
Yeah. He went there mostly to play Third Strike, as far as I know.
He was there for a long time. So we went down there, and like there were really strong players. It was just cool to see that a scene that I hadn't heard that much about was definitely keeping up with players who would keep up with people from New York and Philadelphia and stuff like that. It was awesome. But definitely the MDVA
kind of reminds me of high school, where you remember first and last names of people that you weren't even like close friends with. Like that's what those people felt like to me. Like Jose Hernandez. Y'all don't know who Jose Hernandez is, but that was the first good player that I beat in tournaments.
Nice.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You had that sort of ingrained memory about just somebody, you interacted with over fighting games. I don't know how it just gets so deeply into the memory banks. I think it's really cool.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about stories from 15 years ago. So for sure, I have the same kind of experience. And so you were playing Hugo, you're playing kind of low tier at the time. How was your gameplay developing around that era?
So originally I played Yang in Third Strike because it's kind of like fast. I like the fast looking characters. He had a little dash. It kind of sucked, but it looked cool. And back then I didn't really know what I was doing. But I knew enough. I knew how to do crouching medium kick in the Rekka, command grab, and dive kicks. And I knew enough to survive, but I didn't know the first thing about frame data or all this stuff that I do now. That's all a collection of playing those weird characters and having to solve problems in different ways each time. Because throughout the different fighting games, I play characters that are like different from the next one. I went from Yang again, and then back to Third Strike with Hugo, and then with Cross Tekken, I experimented with a lot of different characters. I wanted to play that super turbo type fireball uppercut with Sagat, and then I was like, let me pick a top tier. Had Jim with Sagat, got pretty far with that team. Street Fighter 5 came around. Now I play pretty much every character. I play all these different games and try to be different. and that's what has helped me approach different problem-solving angles.
That's interesting. So you only picked up Hugo after you had played Street Fighter 4? So you weren't like Hugo the whole time?
No. It was a really like a reset.
Oh.
When Street Fighter 4 came out, it was like a miracle. Like this new fighting game on the new consoles is incredible. And it was really sad because all those third strike heads that I mentioned before, we were at this crossroad. Like, are we gonna play this new game? Because we're like this close to beating these New York guys. We're like getting top 3s at these tournaments. You know, finally getting. And then boom, Street Fighter 4 came out, and we're like, is this game good? You know, and do we want to play with everybody else, or do we like that? It was tough.
Yeah, I think nowadays a lot of people look back and look at Street Fighter 4 as something that was really a momentous change, and everybody picked it up. Which, you know, it was a momentous change, of course, but at that time, that was a common sentiment. I knew a lot of people in LA who felt the same way. They just weren't sure about this game. A lot was up in the air.
Especially,
and you get hit by one uppercut FADC Ultra, you'll be thinking some new things too. Like, I'm going back to where I came from. This is dumb. I was winning and then I'm dead.
Yeah.
And then the worst was uppercut FADC. You block it, then he does it again.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was in particular the Third Strike crowd really was down on Street Fighter 4 when that game came out.
I still remember the videos that came out of Super Arcade, I think it was. Just people really, like the Third Strike players, really just talking that good stuff. Whenever Street Fighter 4 is on the screen, you could hear them in the background. Just, you know.
Arcade Infinity and Denjin and stuff like that. Bunch of footage coming out of there. Family fun. Yeah, that was definitely our experience as well. I knew a lot of people who had that kind of feeling. Some of whom came around later on, and many of whom just didn't. They kept playing third, or they stopped playing fighting games.
Yeah, it's a real gritty subject, huh? The old games versus the new games. I wish it didn't have to be like that. But I mean, I wish it could also just be fair criticism too, right? I wish everyone kind of listened to each other too. But then you got, you know, elitist Third Strike players who kind of sniff their own farts, and then you got the Street Fighter 5 players who kind of stuck. They don't know any better, so it's hard to find that, you know, listening structure.
I mean, it's interesting. You've had that experience, right? So going from 3 to 4. And so actually, like right now, I know on your stream, you are streaming a lot of the Street Fighter 5 characters. You're always using the new characters that drop. And you've been able to approach the game very differently. I mean, like, how do you feel about 5 overall as a game compared to, you know, 4 and 3?
Well, I mean, oh man, I gotta figure out how to navigate the neutral on this one. Like, I'm about to get crush counter talking about this subject. So here's what I think about Street Fighter 5. I try to put it in context of the way that I felt about Third Strike. The way that I felt about Third Strike is that I'll drive home at 4 a.m. in the morning, and like I met a bunch of strangers, and then if I don't win this tournament, I'm not going to be able to afford gas to go. Like, this sort of desperation to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
And if some people have that feeling for Street Fighter 5, who am I to take that away from them? So what I like about Street Fighter 5 is that, you know, some people do, and I can enhance their experience. I can teach them how to play the game, and then they go out and do it on their own, and maybe they have that same feeling, that same rush that I did with Third Strike. If you want to know what I think about Street Fighter 5, it's okay. It's all right. It's good enough.
Enough, the qualifier. Nice.
It didn't really hit the ground running, but where it's at now, it's pretty balanced. It might be the most balanced Street Fighter. It's interesting, but I do feel like the formula is a bit monotonous. Most of the characters are looking for the same goal. They just approach it sort of like a little bit in different ways. But I do feel like the tier list is much more condensed than it's ever been before, which I think is good. I think Dan is terrible, but he's awesome at the same time. I think he's the worst character. And I think the way that they're experimenting with the new characters, I didn't get a chance to really digest the new trailers that just came out. I was driving them away home. But I was watching y'all kind of break them down. They look like they're trying to you know, put some new stuff out there, and that's good. I like interesting. I really like interesting and exploring and figuring out new things. And I think that's what we got coming up.
I think that's right. And you're also right to say that the game didn't hit the ground running is a great euphemism for it. It was a really bad video game launch, right? Even if the gameplay itself I thought was okay, the larger game was obviously a catastrophe. But the gameplay has changed quite a bit. So what is it that has kept you playing it in now its 5th year, even before they started to make more adventurous changes with characters?
Community. It's the same thing I mentioned before, is finding new people and common interests. Like, I got people from my stream that I've met in person at an arcade in Hope Mills, North Carolina. Shout outs to Darth Peaches. Like, that is the most awesome thing to me, is, the game just becomes a medium to find like-minded people and to make new friends and to have this kind of maybe we're not in love with what we're doing, but we're still finding some love around it. That might sound kind of weird, but it's just that fighting game energy is there. So it's it's just being able to teach people as well. That I find extremely rewarding, especially teaching people in person. I was doing lessons at this arcade stop button in Hope Mills, North Carolina. So if somebody went 0-2 in tournament, I would give them a free lesson. I don't even think I charged for lessons. I just wanted, it's like, if I was retired, I would still do that. It's really, really enjoyable for me. I would write up documents. I would play a set with them, tell them what they got to work on, explain things in detail. This is how mobile and back recovery work. This is the button you should use. This is where you can react. This is the matchup, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. And then this gentleman that went 0-2 won a tournament with my help. I didn't win the tournament, but I gave him, hey, this is what you can do. And then he won it. Oh man, it was a really good moment for him and for me.
Yeah, I bet. That's awesome.
I mean, that probably was an amazing moment for you, right? I mean, just the pride and you'd feel in that situation.
When you see somebody uppercut on reaction, and it's a product of what you emphasize to them, and it's like an old school mentality to really have a sharp anti-air, and then they hit it. Oh man, that's a rush.
Oh man. Now, obviously, one of the things that you've really started getting known for, especially on the social media side of things, you've become one of the lab monsters, right? Like one of the tech monsters, finding the best setups for people. I always said that, for, at one point in time, absolutely you and Javits are like the main tech monsters on Twitter for people to follow and get information. I know, for example, when Sagat came out, you put in a ton of work with that character. Is that something that is just your favorite thing to do, is just to sit down and find tech for the characters?
That's more interesting to me than competing in Street Fighter V. Mm-hmm. For me, putting out that information is that's me in tournaments now. That's what I have to offer, because playing in tournaments and taking Street Fighter V seriously as a competitive game, not for me. But teaching people, that's where I find my place. So I like it.
But that
you gotta focus on what you like. I mean, playing Street Fighter V online ranked, it has its fun moments, but there are times where it does not. So you gotta do what you enjoy too.
Right.
Looking for tech that love of that clearly comes from earlier times. We did kind of gloss over this entire phase, but in Street Fighter 4, you were one of the few people playing Gen and making him strong. And that was a very tech heavy character, right? That must have been something that you were interested in even back then.
It's almost like a call. I hear a certain bell ring in my head when someone says a character sucks. That's another reason why I played Sagat in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Because a friend of mine was like, man, Sagat sucks. I was like, really? You think so? It's like a challenge to me. He's like, okay, this is a new puzzle. I want to figure this out.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm trying to embarrass or show them up. But it's a little puzzle. I can kind of Dr. House this. I can, this is what I do. Let me figure this out.
Honestly, that's where a lot of the low tier hero factor comes from. And, it's why I played Cammy and Super Turbo, right? Same kind of thing. It was just oh, she sucks, huh? Well, let me see if I can solve this. That's where the interest comes from.
Are we talking about vanilla Street Fighter 4 Gen as low tier? Are those the words coming out of my friend James right now? I can't believe it.
At the time when Street Fighter 4 was released, yes, it was perceived to be as such.
Dude, I mean, in SoCal, we played a lot against, what was this dude's name? Yeb?
Yeah.
We played with him, so, like, we knew that character was very strong. But not that many players.
Because when Super came out, his patch notes was he got nerfed, and all the Gen players were like, "Why would you nerf him?" And he played in San Diego. Everyone in San Diego was like, "We know why they nerfed him."
Yeah.
Shoutouts to Yeb. Shoutouts to Yeb the God. I have a little side story about that.
Tell me your side story.
Oh, there was a gentleman named Chris who money matched Yeb at a certain Evo. And Chris Hu beat that fine gentleman. Okay. So at Season's beatings, Chris Hu challenged me because he played against one of the best games in the world. You gotta beat little old JiBbo, right, from North Carolina. So I'm at Season's beating. I'm minding my own business. Chris Hu, JiBbo. I money match JiBbo. I'm like, what? What? Where did this come from? So I money matched him and I beat him. Therefore, I'm the best game player. You know how that works.
That makes sense to me. Transitive property and all. What was that? 2009, maybe 2010.
Oh, man.
So what happened, huh?
It was that Season beatings that I also played Daigo, and I think I took a match off of him because I didn't wake up Super and I hit him.
Nice.
And all of New York was rooting for me to beat Daigo, so they didn't have to beat him twice in grand finals.
But wait, what happened with you and who? With Chris who?
Oh, I beat Chris. Who.
Okay. You just sort of.
Oh, God dang it, James! God dang it!
What's up?
I see what you did there.
Well,
no. I'm just I was legit asking, like what happened with that match? Because I felt like
we're doing like a who's on first, what's on second.
No, I wasn't trying to do that. I swear. Okay. Oh man. Oh, did he say? Oh, okay. I missed it the first time you said that you won. Okay, got it.
He definitely did say it. Yep. Yeah.
That was a Street Fighter 5 mix. We both didn't know what was going on, but we both got hit.
Yeah, I know.
So then Street Fighter 4 is out for a while. A few years after that, Cross Tekken comes out, and that game had a response that was not very positive. You may say that what was the euphemism that you used for SF5 earlier? Anyway, it sucked on launch. And a lot of people were down on it. A lot of people were down on it at launch. And as that game kind of developed, especially its follow-up came out in 2013, kind of changed perception of it. But you were there finding good stuff in it earlier. Tell me about your experience with that game.
The bell went off, my friend Ultra David. The bell went off. This game sucks. It's timeout cross gems, DLC on disc. I'm like, bing, 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 bing. Let me try it. Originally, I wasn't going to play it because I thought Marvel 3 was entertaining, it's fun. I learned from it. I got like top 3 at a local. I'm like, all right, I get it. I got what I got. Street Fighter 4, I went through playing Gen, and I ended up playing Hugo. I played some characters in between. I kind of stuck around. And then Cross Tekken came out. I'm like, nah, I'm good. But a friend actually, I got a copy from a friend. He just, was like, all right, fine, I'll try it out. And I liked what I saw. There was a lot of different. There was like a bunch of things to explore.
Yeah.
And I felt like the way that it was being played was not. It was valid, playing defensive and going for time overs. Yeah, you can do that. But the other side of it was not being explored, or it was almost like it was unknown how to really do damage. Like go away from chain combos, do hit confirms. Now you do more damage. Okay, now optimize that and do the attack cancel. Manage your life bar. There's so many different things with Street Fighter Cross Tekken that were just going under the radar because they were overshadowed not only by the game controversy, but you had Street Fighter 4 and you had Marvel 3 at the same time that were like all the way developed and players were playing them at high level and nobody was really playing Cross Tekken. There was a tournament that they had Cross Tekken as like the showcase. Like this was the last game and no one was really like, time over. They're like, this don't really taste good. So it was hard. After that, it was really like an uphill battle from there. Arturo, who ended up being my teammate for the 2v2, I got this title of defense force, like defense force. You know, I was like the general of the defense force. So I started making memes out of it where people in my stream who were watching, I would give them like titles. Okay, you're corporal. You're the secretary of defense, Ryan Hunter. You know,
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah.
So you know, I just have fun with it and just enjoy it. Like I didn't really have to battle that. You know, I could kind of defend the position, but at the end of the day, the game was fun to play. So that's all it took.
I mean, what was your favorite aspect about the game? Was it just the fact that you could explore so many different combinations, or what was it in particular that you enjoyed?
There was a lot of management for your meter. So the combo routes that you would choose depended on the situation of the match. Maybe you had to recover health for your teammates, so you would find a combo to tag them out. This is so many different mechanics, like the way to take away their recoverable health. The footsies, there was execution involved with Jin. I could do the little wave dashes, go back and forth. That was really fun to do. The amount of personality in the game, like players would be able to construct a team that was to their play style and then play them in a unique way. So you see so many different players and so many different play styles that it was just really cool to see. Like you're constantly trying to figure things out in the moment. And then tech would keep coming out. Like you would get better and better every day, figuring out new stuff. So it was really cool. It's just unfortunate that they had so many broken, so many broken parts of it, and so much bad valid press. Like there's no defending. Golly, man, I wish I could tell y'all more, but they messed up.
They really did mess up. And despite everybody's efforts, Pandora remains maybe the worst fighting man mechanic ever. Real terrible, hilarious, awful.
I mean,
they deserved it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
I had some cool
it
things
was
with
just
King, and then they took it away.
they just wanted to put as many things into the game as possible. You know, it's just really kind of what it came down to, unfortunately. You know, one of the things we've been talking about is, you know, understanding the own ecosystem of your game. And, you know, I feel like they're doing that really well in modern Street Fighter. But in that game, it's like they were just kind of throwing things at the wall to see what stuck, you know, and it took a whole massive patch. I mean, have we ever seen a game that has been changed that much by a big patch, you know? Because Cross
I feel like
Tekken
they
was one
took
of
Street
the...
Fighter Cross Tekken as a lesson learned, and that's maybe why Street Fighter V was so massively damaging in the beginning phase. It still is, but I think they saw the time overs in tournaments, and they're just like, we got to crank up the damage so this doesn't happen immediately. So, you know, we can't have time overs when this game comes out.
Yeah, because they put in chain combos in the game, but they didn't change the way that the scaling worked from Street Fighter 4, which didn't have chain combos. So yeah, the damage was definitely very low.
Yeah, Rip Cross Tekken. It's really unfortunate that you got to jump through 20 different hoops to play Cross Tekken now, and I can't find. I've installed it and uninstalled it literally at least 7 times.
Oh no!
Trying to play Temple Bison. Every time I stream Temple Bison, it's like, hey, you play some Cross Tekken, JiBbo. Why are you ducking me, JiBbo? And then I had to go to Microsoft Live, reset my password, figure out my old a big mini wheat at msn.com email just to play Street Fighter. It's like, God, and then the online experience ain't that good. So,
right.
And then I'm like, oh man, I forgot how to play. So it just makes me salty. I just let it go.
But wasn't Cross Tekken's netcode pretty good though?
There is a scene in. What'd you say, James?
Wasn't Cross Tekken's netcode pretty good?
It was average.
Okay.
Yeah, I do not recall it being good. It was Street Fighter 4. I mean, it was Street Fighter 4 netcode for sure.
Because I always remember like hearing Vaya talk about how much better it was than Street Fighter 4.
I don't think it was good. Anyway, so not that much time left, but I did want to talk about the content side of things for you, and how that kind of transition from just playing into streaming, content creation began, and then kind of what has kept you in that side of things.
It's hard to answer that because I've kind of taken a back seat in the past couple months because of pandemic. I bought a house, big JiBbo family life, other stuff. So I've been kind of like in the back seat, and I've been really happy with so many content creators now for fighting games, and I think that's awesome. And they're all doing the right things. Like, I mean, they're kind of not saying that they did what I did, and I'm not trying to imply that, but they're doing more than what I was doing, and doing the right things. You make the YouTube videos, you get an editor, you find things that people want to watch. You make some mistakes along the way. You leave yourself open to learning more. I mean, it's all out there now. I mean, I got to figure out if there's any problems to solve anymore. It really feels like people figured it out.
Okay.
Like you mentioned earlier, I do want to step it up. I want to start making music again, and I'm going to start trying to do like skits, film, on top of the tech and general streaming and content creation. So when I do come back, quote unquote, I want to be like at a totally different, like a film producer type level.
Yeah, because I remember during the break, before this interview segment started, we were talking about, your music career. You helped with a lot of the music at some of the Evo intros and everything, and you used to be really heavy into that. So, I mean, has that just taken a backseat to the gaming a lot?
Yes and no. The last time I made a full music track was maybe 5 years ago.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Really?
Streaming Street Fighter V and trying to build that platform, which I think I have a strong foundation enough to get voted to Street Fighter League. That was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So I in some ways I've used Street Fighter V to my advantage to build that platform so I can, further build that community and that same feeling that I got when I first got to the arcade.
So
cool, man.
Would you consider like Strive taking that seriously? Street Fighter 6 comes out and you really, really like it. Would you consider going back to a competitor role?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm a competitor in Street Fighter V until I go to the tournament and lose. And not the top 8 anymore. I mean, that is still in my soul to want to be the best in the world. I still have that feeling like I did. Like, Cross Tekken was the last time, I think, where I'm like, I'm going to be, golly, top 8 Evo. It's like a prestigious thing, but I could have. Yeah. Oh, it's still there. It's still that anguish. Like I could have, but I haven't done it yet. So I want to win. I want to be like, it's still that North Carolina Third Strike. We were this close to being in that beyond top 3 space. I still want to go there, but sometimes you gotta hold that. You gotta maybe Street Fighter 6, Strive. Let's see.
Cool, man. Well, look, thanks a lot for coming on and chatting with us. It's cool to catch up. I hope things are going well otherwise.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Where can people find your music if they just want to sample some of the stuff that you've written before?
It's the same. AutoMattock. SoundCloud. I have some music on SoundCloud.
Okay.
Twitter, Twitch, YouTube is JiBbo. YouTube.com/JiBbo.
Cool, man. Well, again, thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks for hanging out.
It's my pleasure.
Anything else you want to plug?
Catch up.
Here and talk to friends. I'll take it easy.
Anything else you want to plug? Like Twitch? Did you plug your Twitch and everything already? So.
Yeah, I mentioned it. It's all good.
Okay. All right.
All right, bub. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. Yo, next time I'm in North Carolina, I'll let you know.
Yeah, GG's, man. With a lost start.
I'll be there in a couple months, actually, now that I think about it.
Was it really the same city that you got married in that you...
Actually was. Greensboro, North Carolina. Yeah, we went down there to play with folks a couple times. I think we rented not a bus, like a large van to go from the Maryland, DC, Virginia scene down to North Carolina. Yeah, we went down there to play a couple times.
Nice.
And then, sure enough, that's where I got married all these years later.
That's so cool.
Life's weird sometimes. Yeah. Pretty trippy. Anyway, thanks a lot to Jim for coming on again. Want to move on to the next thing?
Yep, let's do that. Gonna move on to some 5.5.
Not a megabus, no, but I did definitely use megabus to get around from DC. I used megabus to get up to New York half a dozen times, maybe. Not just for fighting games, but sometimes for fighting games.
Oh, man.
All right, let's get into the 5.5 matchup section where we discuss some timely issue in the FGC and give our takes on it. And here's the one that we have for you tonight.
Yeah. So
how much slack should we cut SNK?
Yeah. So obviously, And I know Tubo's going to be mad that he's not here to talk about this because he'll have feelings, I'm sure. Feelings about it. But, you know, obviously the King trailer came out. A lot of people were mad. A lot of people said that the trailer looked awful and that she looked horrible and everything. And, you know, I've seen people on Twitter talk about this and say, you know, hey, look, we know that SNK doesn't have the budget that everybody else does at this point in time. We know that they're, you know, kind of a small team. You know, what they did with 14 and Samurai Showdown, and you can see that it's still an improvement as they are moving into 15. And so you see a lot of people out there on the internets basically saying that, you know, we have to kind of understand where they're coming from. And, you know, of course, everybody wants ArcSys graphics, but that takes a lot more work, and they would have to learn something completely brand new, etc., etc. The question is, should that be a part of, you know, taking into account what you expect out of the game, or should we just expect, you know, ArcSys quality out of every fighting game that's coming out by a major publisher?
Well, my perspective on this is that in any case of a fighting game being developed and coming out, I'm going to play the games that look good to me and look fun to me and that I'm going to enjoy. I'm not going to play the games that I don't think I'm going to enjoy, whether for gameplay reasons or audiovisual or for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the case regardless, like whatever the developer is. So I'm not going to treat SNK differently. I'm going to have the same feeling. If I enjoy the games that they make, great, fantastic. I'm on board. If I don't enjoy the games that they make, I'm not going to play either. And for me, audiovisuals, the graphics, etc., it's more important to me than it used to be. When I was younger, it was like a 1 out of 100 in importance. I would have played a stick figure game. It did not matter to me at all. Now I'm not that far, but I still feel like I'm probably like less, probably matters to me less than many people. But it matters to me some amount. So the graphics for KOF15, I don't think are great, but I also don't think they're terrible. For me, it's just kind of like not really worth talking about for the most part. I don't, when I see them, nobody's going to give this game a graphical award. That is for sure.
Right.
However, also, like, there's no reason to dump on it constantly, in my view, because I don't think it's terrible. So I mostly have avoided talking about this since the first, you know, maybe trailer or two. And since then, I've just been kind of, you know, I'm watching. That's cool. If the game looks fun, that's fine. I will say that I think King looks pretty bad, unfortunately.
Right.
But in general, I kind of don't think it's so bad as to be constantly discussing.
Right. Do you think that people are going overboard? Like, I do feel like there's a little bit of what I described as meme inertia from 14. I mean, like, you look at the difference between Andy and 14, and it was embarrassing, you know, and he's definitely had kind of the glow up over here for 15. Do you think people are going in, like, maybe judging it a little too harshly?
Not really. I guess that's my answer on that front, to be perfectly frank. It seems to me, so again, I know that I'm on more of the end of things where graphics are a little bit less important. I know lots of people for whom they're very important. And if that's your perspective, and like a reason that you're going to buy a game or not is, are the graphics cool?
Right.
Do the characters look, are the animations good?
I mean,
this is a tough one. This is a tough, and it's not, it's certainly way better than 14, which was, you know, on the list for least good looking major fighting game release ever.
Right. I mean,
this is definitely an improvement, but it's still not great.
So, like, two, you know, interesting aspects is one, you know, like, for example, MVCI, right? That's a game that looked bad, but is still really fun, you know, and so there's a lot of people that feel like it's a shame that people didn't play the game more, you know, despite it not looking good. Do you feel like those are lessons we should learn and maybe not try to judge it as harshly? Or
look, I feel like I have the same perspective on MVCI, which I absolutely agree did not look good. It looked bad, you know, to just be perfectly honest. Didn't look good at all. It was bad. But it was fun. And ultimately what matters to me is that I'm having fun in a fighting game. So I played a bunch of Marvel Infinite.
Right.
The graphics didn't stop me. And again, I don't feel like the graphics would stop me in KOF15 either.
Right.
If I try the game out, which I absolutely will, and I like it, then that's good enough for me. But I would not hold this company to a different standard. I wouldn't cut them any slack, because ultimately what matters to me is that I have a finite amount of resources. Right. I mean, I can buy a new game, but like, do I have the time to learn it, to play it in a way that would be satisfactory to me? I don't want to half-ass playing a fighting game. Right. So I typically feel like I have 2 or at most 3 fighting games that I can be playing at any one time, and I just don't really have that much more time than that.
And you know, someone asked,
will KOF15 fit into that for me? I don't know. It seems honestly not very likely to me.
And someone in the chat,
I'm open to that. And as far as cutting them slack, I wouldn't treat them differently than any other game. It's still the ultimate factor of I have limited time and resources. I'll play the games that I enjoy with that time.
Yeah, I mean, someone in the chat is asking if people think it holds an art style, and I do. I actually do like that they're moving towards more of a cel-shaded look than what they were trying to do in King of Fighters 14. I think that was one of the downfalls of 14, was that they had no art direction and they were trying to make it look real and not real. It was weird. But I mean, would you consider it a significant reason to kind of be more accepting of the recycled and, you know, poor animations from 14 if the game does come out with 50 characters in there, right? Because King of Fighters 14 came out with 50 characters, which is pretty impressive for a lot of fighting games these days. If King of Fighters 15 comes out and has the same kind of thing, 50 characters, maybe 52 characters or something like that, would that temper your feelings on the graphics a little bit more? Like, oh, okay, I get it. They're just working hard to put a lot more new characters in there, so they're working on them, so Yashiro looks good, etc., etc. You know,
I don't have any reason to do that. And I don't know why anybody would. I mean, again, like it doesn't matter to me that a game is coming from. First of all, I'm not sure it's true that SNK has no money, or has so much less than some other devs. But like saying that is true, or arguing that is true, I'm not going to cut them slack. No, even in that case. I just don't know why I would. Like, it's just there's so many good games out and so many great choices, and I would have the same feeling about the game as I approach it as I would for everybody else. Again, it doesn't matter. My choice about which fighting games to play are not related to what the devs' decisions were motivated by. It's unrelated. It's just that all I'm looking for is to enjoy playing the game with my limited time. That's it. And if a game comes out for whatever reason and it doesn't meet those factors, I'm not going to play it. Whether that's because of they have 50 characters or because of whatever else. Yeah. Okay. I don't know why. I don't know that there's any reason to cut them any slack. I mean, look, I tried Sam Show, as you recall, and I was not into that game. Not necessarily because of the graphics, which I don't think are terribly great, but like at least have an interesting art style. I will say that. But that wasn't what my decision to play it or not was based on. But it sounds to me like you want to cut them some slack.
I mean, it's not that necessarily that I want to cut them some slack. It's just, you know, I guess just from my standpoint, from being someone who's been at a company who has created software, and I know all the problems that come up in those situations, and just judging from what I can see from SNK, like all the signs are there that it's a very small team. You know, all the signs are there that I don't think that they have ridiculous budget for it. And, you know, and again, part of me is also I just want to be as positive about things as possible. And I'm tired of seeing all the negativity around it, you know, and it's just, you know, if they come out with the rollback netcode, if they have 50 characters in there, if a lot of the new characters, you know, have the same kind of quality graphics that Yashiro has, you know, I mean, if the game turns out to be really fun, I mean, I'm just afraid that we're going to run into another situation that people are going to not play it because the internet, when it had that meme inertia and went too hard into it, you know. basically.
Well, I don't know if there's been a case of that happening where there haven't been real problems with the game. Probably not, right? I mean, the cases where that's happened are like Marvel Infinite actually has terrible graphics.
Right.
Fun game, but like there is a real problem there.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
actually, KOF15 actually really did look bad. Cross Tekken actually was terrible looking. Like,
right.
There are actually issues in these cases. It's not just about memes. And in 15, again, it's not my view that the game looks terrible. I don't think it looks terrible. I just don't think that it looks good. It's just somewhere in between where I wouldn't really consider talking about it either way. It's like not a motivating factor for me either way.
Because, you see this a lot in the chat. A lot of people in the chat right now are just saying like, just the game doesn't look good. Like, it's just like, But like, maybe. I feel like that's a lot of it is that inertia from 14. It's gotten to that point, and SNK definitely didn't do us any favors with the way Samurai Showdown turned out, right? Gameplay was fun, but like they're not, I mean, I'm still surprised we got a third season for that game, but like there's like no improvements to the net code. There's the ghost system that actually never actually did anything. They haven't fixed the lobbies and stuff like that. So I'm just wondering if like, I'm just scared that it's going to be one of those games that might turn out to actually be really cool and fun that just gets hit too hard by that the internet dog pile, basically, at this point in time. And, the reason why I kind of want to talk about it and bring it up, because I really do think that is an issue. I really honestly think that's a concern. And, I'd rather bring it up and have people think about it and go, you know what, maybe the game actually doesn't look as bad as I thought it did, kind of thing. So, because I mean, there are people out there that are talking about it like it is MVCI, like it is like, oh, this game looks like it's a PS1 game, and it's like,
well, I mean, KOF14 came out, I don't know, a handful of years ago. I don't remember, was it 4 or something like that? Several years ago at this point. You would hope that there would be an improvement. And I think that it's true that there is some momentum. I think that probably is right. People are judging 15 with what's most recent in their minds, which is 14. And I think that makes sense. I don't think that that's a big surprise. But you would hope that it would look better than 14. So I don't think that the bar is like, does this game look better than 14? It's, boy, the most beautiful fighting game ever is coming out, and it's Guilty Gear Strive. Right? I mean, but that is what you have to be developing a game against. Right. And if it's not going to happen that way, there's really nobody to blame. You can't blame the people who are going to buy the game or not for having an opinion that is influenced by the fact that other games are gorgeous.
I just keep thinking Strive is the game. I mean, Arxis is the game killers, right? I mean, I feel like a lot of why MVCI died, it was because, like, here's MVCI, here's Dragon Ball Fighters, and it was like, oh my god,
Absolutely part of it. Also, again, Marvel Infinite was bad looking, so it's not like it was
the Chun
a
face.
Great looking game versus like a pretty good looking game. It was not at all like that,
right?
And this is. I mean, this basically looks like it's a little bit better than Marvel Infinite. I mean, it's not. Nobody would say it's great.
Right.
It's not KOF 14. It's like in between. But that's your competition is Strive, Mortal Kombat 11. Maybe you don't like the gore and stuff, but like the models look fantastic. Like that's it. That's the level that you're. Even Tekken 7, even Street Fighter 5 looks better than it did at launch. Right? There's so many cool looking characters nowadays. So that is what you're going up against.
Right.
You can't blame anybody who is going to buy a game or not based on like which games currently look cool. That's not why I buy games typically, but if I know that is super important for lots of people, and I'm not going to blame them for that.
Okay.
But anyway, dude, if 15 comes out and it's fun to play, I hope it gets a good scene, of course.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, like, I think the last thing I'll say on the topic is that SNK also kind of did them no favors when they went from 13 to 14, because 13 is still just so beautiful, and then 14 was like, what happened? Like,
what a bizarre drop in quality. I understand that 13 is particularly expensive, like nobody was expecting it to be the same again, but wow, what an amazing drop.
Yeah, it was clear that they did
legendary.
I mean, the funny thing is that 13 was based off of models, but boy, they must have touched up those sprites. Because the sprites were so amazing. 14 came out, and oh my god, it was just. But you can tell that they just didn't have the experience for it, and it's unfortunate. And really, honestly, that just means they probably should look for better modelers to come out and design stuff. Now, 15 does have a lot of good things, like the fashion, the bump mapping on a lot of the clothes and stuff like that is actually really nicely done. But like you can tell with like the tornado blurring effect and stuff like that, like someone figured out how to do that and they're using it in everything. Like, we have this one effect, let's use this as much as possible. So yeah, definitely could do a lot of work. But you know, I'm just, like I said, I'm just scared to have a game come out that might deserve a little bit more look into, that's gonna get basically memed to death. That's all. So
well,
anyways,
I don't know that I'm scared of it. I don't think that's the phrasing that I would use. But I could totally see that happening.
Right. All right.
Hey, thanks Nothing Excess for the sub, who says their over blurring is kind of whack and the flame effects need to chill. Fabric and models look cool, and the animations are decent. But come on, says big time IRL KOF head for many years. Nothing Excess.
Okay.
Which again I think is a common opinion. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Oof. Let's get into the 5-5 matchup viewer questions. Number 1, do you think fighting games should implement QuickTime events along with combo execution, whether for practice or actual matches? Number 2, do you think people who are not into fighting games are that way because they don't really understand them? Number 3, why are we not allowed to change V-trigger or V-skill between games of ranked matches? Why am I not allowed to risk a choice for game 1? See how much my opponent knows about my shenanigans, and then make a choice to play solid to win the set. Number 4, what are some of the best examples of mechanically experimental and innovative fighting game characters? Characters that have some of the most game-changing and influential mechanics across all of fighting game. Let's check out the results.
Who's the winner?
The winner, with an astounding 84% of the vote, an unheard of amount. Absolutely the first time it's ever been that drastic, is number 4. In your opinion, what are some of the best examples of mechanically experimental and innovative fighting game characters? Characters that have some of the most game-changing and influential mechanics across all of fighting games. Interesting. What do you got?
I mean, someone in the chat has actually kind of has a really good call on that one. It's kind of a killer instinct kind of thing, right? Like, I think Aganos is one of the absolutely most fascinating characters ever created. A character who slows down with more rocks in there, but has more hits of armor. You know, he jumps lower and all this stuff. But he can build his own walls, and he can build a wall behind him and in front of him. He can grab the wall and smack you with it. He can punch you through walls. I mean, Aganos to me is probably one of the most inventive character designs, mechanically speaking. And you know, I like characters that can do crazy things like that. Like I know Squiggly, was that her name in Skullgirls, can
in Skullgirls
like, shift the screen around a little bit and stuff. Like I like those kind of crazy mechanics. And so Aganos is definitely one of the characters that fits in there for me. I think Aganos is definitely a great example of that and a good one that comes to mind. What about you? What comes immediately to your mind?
It's Iron Tiger, obviously, everybody. Obviously, Iron Tiger's the answer. Are you serious here? Magnet Hands Grappler is clearly the answer. Second of all, I feel like BlazBlue invented like half a dozen terrorist like archetypes. Like that game is, in my mind, still the most inventive fighting game overall. That and KI, I would say, are the two that really stand out to me overall. I think it's so for me, definitely the most mechanically, what was the phrasing here? Experimental and innovative. I could totally see that being like a bunch of characters actually in launch BlazBlue, just to like experimental. You know, some of them got toned down or changed or whatever, like throughout the life of that series. Taker got some buffs over the life of that series. but that was such an experimental game, and I just really feel like they didn't know how good Tager would be, like, because they put him out there and he was a pile of garbage in some matchups that were just almost unwinnable.
Because they created new at the same time.
Not just her, I mean,
and
Carl,
Bug Boy, yeah,
Bug Boy, yes, and Bug Boy, yeah. So the very, very experimental. I feel like they just didn't know if he was going to be good, and they needed to buff him. It turned out, obviously, but it feels experimental because they put out a character that had such terrible matchups, and I think they might have just thought that he would have been better than he was. They just didn't know because it was an experiment. It was a new idea. So that to me stands out. I think that character is, as I've often said, one of my favorite fighting game characters ever, and very innovative, certainly. As far as characters that have some of the most game-changing mechanics, I feel like I'm just looking at BlazBlue and KI for these answers. Who has a game-changing? I mean, certainly Aganos, you brought up with the wall, changes the game.
Right, but
Arcune changes the game.
I wonder if they're talking about like changing the game that way, or changing the game in so much that they have this unique mechanic that clearly just makes them better than everybody else. Like
Pet Shop just couldn't be hit low. He just didn't have a low part of his hitbox. That, or is it more like the meaning of was extremely influential and later characters took big lessons from that? Yeah. If so, maybe you're talking about Potemkin had a huge impact on the development of grapplers ever since.
I mean, Eddie, right?
Eddie.
I mean, Zato is probably one of the craziest character designs ever, because isn't he technically kind of the first puppet character, especially the way they intentionally designed him so that Eddie was controlled by negative edge? And you could, and Zato's attacks were controlled by pressing the button. So that's what created a lot of like different kind of twister things. I've always thought Baiken was a fascinating character. I mean, you created a character who could alpha counter everything, and she wasn't broken. I mean, some people would argue that she kind of was, but But, that's a character that, was really fascinating how they managed to put that kind of a character into a game.
I guess I'm thinking about, I would say 3 games to me sounds the most, as just having in general the most experimental and unique characters. I would say the BlazBlue series, Killer Instinct 2013, and probably Injustice. And I'm not even sure if it's Injustice 2. It might be Injustice 1. That is extra wild. I'd say the Atom from Injustice 2 stands out to me, but other than that, maybe Injustice 1 overall.
Right.
I mean, for the first 15-ish years or so, there were certainly some experiments, but I felt like it took a while for fighting game devs to get really... that's not right. That's not right, because even early on, Darkstalkers was 96 or something.
I mean Darkstalkers was also trying every different kind of input, so much to the point that they all got taken out. We had no more up to forward air fireballs from Morrigan, but even a game, I saw someone mentioned a game that was like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh no, actually this is one I thought of myself. It was one of the reasons why I loved Alpha 3 so much. Because even a character like Karin was interesting. Like, they gave her the interesting branching Rekka paths. Whole flipping and recovery mechanic was super huge. Gen in Alpha 2 having the 2 different styles. I even thought Armika was interesting because they gave her that hopping SPD. It was my favorite thing about her, was to have that hopping SPD. Alpha 3 was, I mean, like I said, they still have a mechanic that I only learned about how it worked like 2 years ago, with the trade and the priority system being based off of open and closed stances and stuff like that. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't even know that was a thing, but someone figured it out, that it wasn't random, that it was like based off of that. So, honestly, that whole thing for the Alpha 3 too, having the aerial combat, like I said, the original Guilty Gear didn't have that. And Alpha 3 put that in there, and then all of a sudden the next Guilty Gears all had air recovery and stuff like that, and I really think that was innovative. X-Men Children of the Atom. God, the game where they just said, let's make everything work, and didn't realize how broken of a game they made.
Yeah, I definitely cut myself off halfway through that sentence of being like, for 15 years of fighting games. No, it was actually, there was a lot that was being experimented on.
No, and I agree with Socrates too. I still really love Soul Calibur 6 Huang having a mechanic that affects you in future rounds. I think is super fascinating. Oh man,
there's a lot of cool characters out there. Look, I mean, what matters to me most, the characters I like the most are grapplers and zoners.
Right.
So the ones that stand out to me as being the most mechanically interesting are, probably it's Tager for sure as number one. Conrad's up there. I agree with Aganos is up there.
Dude, DJ Blues just mentioned Spiral in Children of the Atom. One of
Spiral's super weird in that game.
Time favorite character designs because she was crazy. I love that character. Ugh.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of cool things these days, and a lot of cool experiments have been there.
Okay. Well, there you
Anything
go.
else to say on this one?
No, I mean honestly, the answer just turned out to be there's so many, and that's
There's
one
many.
That's one of the things that makes fighting games so great. I mean, when you have a game and then you put in a character that breaks all of the established rules to do crazy things, that's what makes it fun, right? Like you said in Blaze Blue, the fact that everybody is basically their own fighting game because they have their own mechanics. Rachel's Wind was like one of my favorite things that when that game came out, I was like, what a cool idea for a thing. Like, I want to keep comboing you, so I'm going to use the wind to blow myself into you. It's just like so many cool ideas.
Yeah, it took Arxis about a decade, but they finally came out with a good game when they made Blaze Blue. That's right. Let's move on to the next one.
All right, guys, we're gonna discuss the next topic here on the 5-5 matchup here. What do we got here? No. Oh man.
The other one that got votes was: do you think fighting games should implement QuickTime events along with combo execution, whether for practice or actual matches? Am I blue for a reason?
You have made me
blazed
sad.
me into
That's
being
why.
blue?
Yeah, there you go. It's Blaze Blue. That's because you're such a Blaze Blue fanboy. Oh man. All right.
I played that game for maybe like less than a year, probably for the first one. And then I played one of them for probably a year in between. So it's not like I wasn't a big grinder for that game, but I just always thought it had such cool characters.
I gotta find the green color for Troll. That's what I need to do. Where's the green? There we go. There we go. There you go.
There it is.
For the Troll.
There we
go. All
a little bit more one way, and I'm going to look like Oro. If you pushed it a little bit further one way.
Oh, man. Okay. What was the second one?
Here's the question.
Okay.
Do you think fighting games should implement QuickTime events along with combo execution, whether for practice and or actual matches?
What do you think?
Kind of, don't you think that they are QuickTime events already?
Not really. Although I could name you one that exists, right? I mean, NRS has definitely included some of them in their games. Because I know in MK11 you can damage reduce based off of hitting the buttons on the hits during the supers, right? Was it though?
Yep, that's been around.
I was about to say, couldn't you do that in the stage transitions in Injustice as well?
Yeah, that's from Injustice as well.
Right.
Yeah,
you could also do it on those as well.
Yeah, so as you're being hit in MK11, if you're the attacker, you can press the button as the hit connects, and it will do a skull. Skull will appear on the screen. It'll do a little bit more damage. And you can actually get multiple timings of the skull. It can be like it can be like a red skull or whatever, or it can have like a kind of like slash through the skull. It can be like a broken skull, which is like extra damage. Right. So if you nail the timing, And on the defender's side, if you press the button at that same time, you'll get a little shield, thereby decreasing the damage. These are not by a lot. I don't remember the percentage offhand, but it's like a little bit changes.
Oh,
it's not huge.
Lilith had the top hat super where she literally made you play like a DDR thing to get as much damage as possible. Yeah, that was one. But, I mean, if you're talking about like, I mean, it's interesting because like some of the SNK supers feel that way too, like the boom, A B B C A B C
right.
quarter circle forward, you know, that kind of thing is a little bit QTE as well. So I mean, they've definitely implemented stuff like that. I don't think that I would enjoy it if it was a major facet of the game, but if it was just part of like the existence of a super. But again, you know, we were just talking about the creative mechanically stuff. I'm sure someone could implement it in a way that would be super cool, you know.
From my perspective, I just wouldn't want to have something that was a bigger part of the game that didn't have me involved. That's all.
Right.
And pressing the buttons at the right times is not super engaging for me. So if you're playing a one-player game and there's a Quicktime event and you press the button at the right time, that's like the only time you'll ever do that. Maybe you replay the game in a couple of years and you do it twice, right? You see it twice. But it's not something that you're going to see 1,000 times. If you play a fighting game a lot, you're playing a game that has a super or something like that, you will see the super 1,000 times. At least, right? Over the years, how many times have I seen some supers in some of the games I played? Who knows? An absurd amount.
I mean,
I wouldn't want that to be even more.
As beautiful as DBFZ's animations are, we all got sick of Bardock Super, right? And like, even in NRS, the stage transitions got really old after a while, right? So
look, even as it is now in MK11, I don't know, there may be 5 seconds long, maybe 5 to 10 seconds long. That's too long. For me, I would rather just be like, all right, I hit you once, and I've done my X-ray slash fatal blow. And
that's true.
I just want to decrease the amount of time that I'm not doing something.
Yeah, Alpha 3 actually had it too. I mean, Alpha 3, again, another game with those craziness, you could actually reduce the damage of every hit. If you hit a button when you got hit, you could reduce the damage of every hit. And like if Ken did the Shinryuken, you can mash buttons to get away. And in fact, some people would actually take, if they saw you mashing buttons to reduce damage in the middle of a custom combo, they would drop the custom combo on purpose to make you flip and then reset you to reset the damage and stuff. Like, like I said, Alpha 3 is one of my favorite games just because of that factor, that innovation factor. But yeah, I mean, if a Quicktime event was like those games, those story games out there, and the Quicktime events were like 5-6 seconds long, yeah, I don't want that. I couldn't take that. So
I feel like the trend has been towards supers or whatever their equivalent are being longer, being more cinematic.
Yeah.
Compared to back when there were just sprites.
Mm-hmm.
And they tend to top out at 10 to 12 seconds. That's about the most that you'll see. But even that is, for me, again, like I want to be engaged. And a super animation isn't engaging. And doing the skulls and shields, for me, isn't engaging. Unless it's a match that I really care about and I'm playing an MK11, I just mash. And sometimes I'll get a skull and sometimes I'll get a shield. Because it's super not important to me.
Unless it's like a match. I didn't know mashing worked.
It doesn't work great, but
right.
it works sometimes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't work great, definitely. So for me, it's not very engaging.
Right.
I think part of the question here could be maybe a little bit more interesting. What about for practice? So I think that if you're in a practice kind of situation, say you're in a training mode situation, I think it might be nice to just have maybe not a QTE exactly, but the ability to very quickly play some little segment without having to just, you can set it up in training mode with a dummy, but to just have a thing where you could be like, hey, dummy, do X or Y, big drop-down menu. That would be nice. I don't know that's really what the question is about here, but I don't know. How do you feel about this?
I mean, if we did something in practice mode, I would love it if games had it so that you could program a combo and then play it back and see how it looks, and then turn on the DDR QTE music bar to help you learn the timing of combos. Like, what if you wanted to learn the one frame link of Rufus light kick into heavy punch? So you program in there, do light kick and then heavy punch. And whether it combos or not, the game doesn't care. It's just going to play back what you want it to do. But then it plays it back, and then it creates a little music bar and shows the little things that you can do. Great, perfect, kind of things like that. I think that would actually be cool if you could program your own QTEs into the game so that you could actually learn it. Because I know in the training mode for Guilty Gear Strive, there's definitely this thing where you can record combos and send it to other people and basically give them trials and stuff. If those trials automatically came with a little bar and it showed which button to press on which line and the timing that you pushed it when you recorded it to give them the idea, I think that would actually be kind of sick.
I feel like there's been some game where there's been something approximating that, where it shows you the hit stun of the current situation that your opponent's in, and then you press the button before hit stun ends. Am I making that up?
I mean, there's a lot of games out there that have that. Like, I know BB Tag has the hit stun bar there that shows you how long they've been hit. Some fighting games have that in their training mode. I think Under Night and Birth has it as well. But I don't think they have it like in the actual gameplay. I can't remember now.
Yeah, I don't think they're in the gameplay. I think that's in practice mode.
No, that was what people thought it was, Keaton, in Street Fighter 4 with the life bar thing. But that was just an effect, and it was the same time every timing. It was the same timing every time. It actually turned out to be a false thing, so...
Well, okay. Anything else to say on this one?
Yeah, actually, Tekken's practice mode uses the Mokujin sounds, the tuk 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 tuk, to give you the timing. Even when they play back the moves, you can actually, like, if you do a multi-throw, they'll go tuk 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 to tell you the timing that they're pressing the buttons and stuff like that. So, but yeah, there's definitely, there's ways to use it in practice that would be really cool. Definitely.
Yeah, we talked about the QTs in
the Fatal Blow.
NRS games.
you think it sucks, Foxy? You don't like it?
Do you mash or do you actually know the timings? Dude, when MK11 was not even new, it had been out for many months, Sonic Fox put out a tweet that was like, did you guys know that there's the whole shields and skulls mechanic in this game? We're like, yes, of course we knew that. It was in the last game too. And yeah. Anyway, it was news.
Oh, man. All right. Anything else to say about this question?
That's right. Yeah, Foxy's execution is not fantastic. No, I'm good. We can move on.
Damn, you're gonna call him out like that?
I don't need to. I'm sure Foxy's saying it in the chat right now.
No, I mean, whenever I played MK11, I would try to time it. I just didn't have anything memorized, so half the time I would be guessing on the animation. All right, community news.
There's a little bit of other stuff. You were just talking to me about, well, I'm going to do this one first because it was a good transition, about wanting to be able to program what you want to see in fighting game training modes. Mm-hmm. Well, what if I told you that kind of thing is being developed with, I'm going with Eddie input in how this is pronounced. I probably should have asked. Novel's in the chat. I saw it earlier. So this is a way to, on PC fighting games, to have, to set the second player side to do mechanically difficult stuff, to basically have, outside of the game, right? This is a program outside of the game. You're setting the computer to do combos, to do setups that you want to test, and what it does then is it literally just plays it through the two-player side's controls. And in training mode,
is it just like an input programmer essentially?
It's an input program. That's my understanding of it. Again, I'm pretty sure he's in the chat, so let us know if this is wrong. Wait, they say it's ed input. Well, okay, we'll go with ed input.
Ed input. There you go. Okay.
So you can make fancy TAS only combos with it, right? There's any number of different uses with this, and it's useful for any game that's on the PC. That's the only requirement for it.
It's interesting. 'Cause,
Very,
I
very
mean,
cool idea.
we had something like this for MAME a long time ago. That's how Madge made a lot of those tool-assisted combo videos. You know, we would actually just type in the combo, like pause for this many frames, do this, do that, you know.
Yeah. But I think it's easier to set up than that. And you can also transfer your recordings with other people. So you can like share combos, you can share setups, stuff like that. You can basically share tech. You can make it easy for people to figure things out. So there's a lot of like teaching utility in it.
I mean, Nova Tataki says it's a record mode that you don't have to do manually. You can mix options for games without recording slots, set percentages for each options and such. I mean, what do you mean by you don't have to do it manually? You just mean you can type it in and not actually have to perform it on the joystick yourself, right? So, okay. What was Execution Master Desk using? His hands. That's what he was using. On. Yep.
Yeah, so Narvel's talking about situations in which you have a script that somebody else has already created.
Right.
So somebody is making it. Right. And then you can use it yourself. Or you can just use it yourself.
Yep.
I mean, you can just make it yourself if you'd like to.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of creativity in this. A lot of potential for being really useful for people to help them learn situations. You know, games are getting better in training modes, but they're still not perfect. And there's a lot of stuff that I think we'd all like to try out in recordings or in dummies or whatever. That would be great to have easier ways to make it work. And this sounds like one.
Nova Tataki, feel free to... Oh, he can also use beep sounds to learn things, and we were just talking about that, right? So the QTE stuff. But Novril, if you can post a link in the chat on where people can check this out.
Oh, well, I was about to just do that myself, James.
Oh, well, never mind. Okay.
But I guess, you might as well do it. I'll definitely put it in the YouTube version of this as well. Okay. So here's a trailer. I don't know what he's about to put in here, but there's a trailer you can check out, which is what I was just about to post.
Do you want me to post it? Do you want me to play it here?
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do this really quick. Here we go. Paste.
And then you can actually get the thing on GitHub, and the link to that is in the YouTube video.
Right. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to full screen it. I'm going to add the source, screen capture. There we go. Here is the video. We can check out Ed Input. There we go. How do you program it so it can do a wake-up reversal?
That's sick, right?
That's crazy. I'm just trying to figure out how you could make it program it to do reversals. That is so hard to do. Holy crap.
So you can test these defensive situations, right?
Right.
So cool.
Juice kicks.
Yeah. Check it out.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, I really want to know what the tech is for allowing it to do reversal windows in games. Let me see if he says that anywhere in here. Wake up reversal should be a train by D. Like, how did you get that in there? Because obviously that means the game has to know the state of the characters or something like that. Like, how do you program them to do reversals at the right timing, Novril? I'm just really curious because as a programmer, that's tough, I think. Wake Reveals is done by brute force. Oh, so you just like program wait, DB, kind of like that.
Right, that makes sense.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. Okay, just wanted to make sure. So, okay.
That's cool.
Oh, man.
Anyway, very, very interesting idea. I like this a lot.
Yeah.
I downloaded it myself. I haven't installed it yet, but I'm absolutely going to try it out. I think it's a really cool idea.
Okay.
I think for me, the thing that I'm very curious to test out is I would really like to be able to make more complex Honda hand training mode situations, because his hands pressure is so contingent on like exact spacings and which characters I'm up against and meter and all sorts of different stuff. And it's just too complicated for a Street Fighter V's normal training mode. And I've always thought it'd be cool to be able to make a more complex set of like decisions that I could train myself against, but I just couldn't do it. So I'm definitely going to try this out.
Okay.
Sounds cool to me. Okay.
All right. Okay, coming up next in this, and again, the link, the YouTube link has the download link in the description, so you can check it out over there. But next is about Team Liquid here.
Team Liquid hasn't explicitly said, but the effect is that they have pulled out of the fighting game community.
Yeah.
They had Nemo, they had John Takeuchi, and they had Gen. So Street Fighter and Tekken. They still have Smash, but they had those three, and they've each been let go over the past like weekish.
Yeah, I mean there was
Gen
actually
just got let go.
There was actually an official Team Liquid video. I don't know if you saw it, where they were talking about it, and he was basically, we love the fighting game community, but we have to do what's best for the team, etc., etc. And they announced.
So they were explicit about leaving the FGC.
Oh yeah. They were explicit about saying that. Unfortunately, they have to drop Nemo, Takeuchi, and Gen at the time. So they definitely said something to that degree. So
got it. Okay, yeah, I did miss that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, that is a bummer, but maybe not a big surprise. Look, the FGC is smaller. Liquid's really big. The FGC is not really big. And online play is maybe getting better or more important, at least for some games. But also still like not where it's at. And it's been a pandemic year, and whereas some other esports have been moving on, the FGC has been like okay about that, but it's been a tougher year, of course. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if that were the reason, that they just couldn't justify continuing to spend money on online only tournaments. The Capcom Pro Tour and Street Fighter is going to be only online, and that'll be true as far as I know even in the fall, when at least in the US hopefully we'll have a good situation by that time. In fact, that maybe even by the summertime is plausible, at least in this country. Other countries are in tougher situations, unfortunately.
I mean, I hope demo.
So it's going to be online, and so there's not going to be like the kind of, traveling to a physical event is of course resource intensive. It costs money, but also like when you're there, you're on camera, right? You're the player on camera maybe, and you can, if you make top 8, like there's a whole show about it, and you're there. You get to see the jersey that the person's wearing, and these are all things that matter if the idea is to try to sell eyeballs against advertising on like shirts and stuff or whatever.
Right.
And that's just not really the way online playing works. Even if Nemo, even if John Takeuchi, Gen, etc. made it to whatever finals, they're not on camera.
Right.
It's them playing in their boxers at home. It's a pretty different situation.
Yeah, I mean, one of the tough things too right now too is that, I mean, Nemo, I mean, I still remember his tweets about, okay, I'm quitting my job to do, esports here. And he's been streaming a little bit more now. And, it clearly says on his stream, unsponsored free agent, kind of thing. So he's definitely, trying to push for a new sponsor. But again, in this pandemic situation, like if it was like, 2 years ago, like he's going to get snagged up real fast, but right now with this pandemic, like you said, they're not on camera anymore. So it's hard. I mean, obviously you got to put, they're going to put Liquid Nemo on there, and we'll, as commentators say, Liquid Nemo, but you're not going to be on jersey with the Intel logo on your jersey,
exactly,
and all that stuff like that. So
he streams all the time. I mean, he's got a good stream. He's got a lot of people watching, and he does it regularly, and he's fun to watch. So he seems like the kind of player that you would want to sponsor. but maybe not specifically for like an esports team that is geared towards more of an eyeball on competition kind of thing. There are teams, sponsors, depending on how you want to view it, that are more focused on content. Liquid does do content, but you know, if that's not what they conceive of how they want to be in the FGC as, then you know, then they're out, I guess.
Right.
Definitely a bummer for those players. I hope that gets.
I mean, we're obviously talking about.
I hope the whole world obviously gets better first, right?
Right.
But eventually, exactly. I hope that the FGC gets a little bit better. I'm not worried in the sense that I think that this is like a long-term problem. I definitely think that it's related to the fact that there's a global pandemic. But I don't know. I guess we'll see in the future.
Yeah. Okay.
This is a similar but kind of, well, of course, a little bit different story. So the Golden Guardians, major esports team in the Bay Area in California, and they have League of Legends and other stuff. A lot of capital involved. Some very famous people are involved, and they got a bunch of dough, and they're getting into the Super Smash Brothers scene.
Okay.
So they have picked up Toph, who is a commentator and streamer, but also, by the way, a really good player as well, and PPMD and None.
Oh,
and
interesting. Okay.
So they got a little crew here, and they have actually created a new YouTube channel for them to be uploading stuff to called GG Melee. So they're intending this not just to be about competition, but content for sure. And it goes beyond that as well, because they're also giving out $50,000 to grassroots tournament organizers in the US to, quote, help support the foundational layer of SSBM that we know is so important.
Huh.
This is great, dude. I was so happy to hear about this. Not just because, you know, I like these guys. Toph's a great guy. I don't know the others personally, but I'm sure they're cool. So I'm happy for them. But also, I just think it's very, very cool that this big old fancy esports team is like, yeah, let's help support the foundational layer of SSBM that we know is so important. Very cool.
I mean, yeah, so Golden Guardians is a big, well-established team then?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. I'm actually unfamiliar with that team, so, okay, that's really cool. Glad to hear it then.
Good job to everybody involved.
Okay. All right, what else?
What else do we got here? Gundam. Oh, yeah, just a little brief bit here. PlayStation is actually doing an open series for Mobile Suit Gundam Extreme versus Maxi Boost on.
Okay.
So check that out if you're somebody who is interested in playing Gundam. PlayStation itself is actually doing tournaments for it.
I mean, they've been doing those open series. I mean, I just helped commentate the Soul Calibur one just like last week. They're doing BB Tag, Under Night in Birth, Mortal Kombat. I mean, it totally makes sense that they were interested in purchasing Evo, you know, because they've been really trying to get into all this tournament stuff. So, yeah.
Man.
It's really interesting to see where they go with this. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Yeah. The folks who own the Warriors are also part owners of the Golden Guardians. And they have I don't know if it's headquarters, but I know that the one of the pictures that Toph put up was of him outside of where the Warriors play. Or did they move? I don't know what's happening in sports at all these days. But where the Warriors used to play in Oakland, at least. I don't know if that's changed in the meantime. When I lived in the Bay Area 15 years ago. 20 years ago. Oh my God. Anyway, I'm melting down. Let's move on to the next one.
Okay. Yeah, next one is, what is this? It's about practice, I think it is.
This is a documentary. The Not a Game documentary is available on Netflix.
Not a game.
Okay. We're talking about documentary.
Okay.
Talks about esports and gaming's issues, essentially. And I watched a bit of it, maybe about half of it, on my lunch break today. And it's just kind of like a set of stories, little vignettes from people who have interesting backgrounds in gaming, or for whom games like served a really important purpose in their lives, or you know, they're competitors. Here's a little bit about their backstory, yada yada. It's cool. And what is the reason I'm bringing it up here is that one of the people they profile is Gur. Gur, the Mortal Kombat 11 player, previously Injustice player, NRS player in general. Super good player. but also really great guy. And like everybody in the scene thinks he's like a big, cutie. I mean, he's so nice. He's so genuine. Every time you talk to him, he's a very genuine guy. I was like hanging out with him. And so it talks a little bit about his backstory and how important gaming was to him in kind of like overcoming mental health issues for him and depression, and how the community aspect of it has been extremely important for him. And interviews his dad, and it interviews Coach Steve about GUR. So both of them are in here. Anyway, I really recommend that you check it out.
And this is on Netflix, right?
Correct. It's just on Netflix. Yeah, you can watch it.
Yeah, so you can definitely just check it very, very quickly, and just find it on Netflix right now. So there you go.
Yeah, he's a very nice dude. When he wears his heart so much on his sleeve, when he wins or when he loses, like nobody will be more transparent about how that felt, and how he's feeling, even without verbally telling you. You can see just looking at him like how it feels. He completely shatters if it's a big bad loss. If he wins, he's the most like ebullient, he's jumping around kind of guy. Like it's awesome. He's such a great kid.
Yeah, it reminds me of Teresa from Guilty Gear. Another one of those players that, whenever you see him win or lose, it's just like, when he loses, you could just see his whole world shatter, dude. It's crazy. Oh, man. I love seeing players like that. I love seeing the players with that passion and that energy. And again, as a person who goes through a lot of emotions myself, I totally empathize with that, and I promote it. I think it's a good thing to see, to be honest with you.
I hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about tournament results.
Sure.
The biggest one, of course, was the WePlay UFL Soul Calibur 6 event.
Yes.
We talked a lot about the WePlay event for Mortal Kombat 11.
Forgot the combo.
For Soul Calibur, they did it again, and the reason we didn't make it a whole big thing on its own is that it kind of is like just a continuation, but with a different game, obviously different people involved.
Well, also the other
as players and commentators, but like the event like was run the same. So we didn't think it was something that we should be rehashing each week. There's also another one that's coming for Tekken. But anyway, did you watch it?
Right. Also, the other reason why is because I'm in the process of watching it. I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch the whole thing. I'm partway through day one. I want to watch day two. But again, I heard the matches are ridiculous. And I heard the top 8 is like some of the best Soul Calibur 6 action that there's been recently. And so I'm actually eagerly looking forward to catching this. And like I said, I'm sad that I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I'm really glad that Soul Calibur 6 has gotten, these chances and such, because the more I play the game, just the more I fall in love with it. Like I enjoy this game so damn much these days. It's literally my favorite fighting game right now, and it's probably the fighting game I've played the most of late. So there you go.
Well, I watched it. I watched a lot of it, and I thought it's great. I mean, just like the last time, amazing presentation. The very same location, all the cool stuff we talked about last week for MK. The presentation was great, no doubt about it, and the matches were awesome. I mean, I played a lot of Calibur 6 when it came out. I'm no expert at it, and haven't played it in the last couple of years, so I'm even less of an expert at it now than I was before. But it was still super, super fun to watch. Yes, the matches were really close in some cases, really super close matches. Great to watch. One thing I did think was interesting, just from a presentation perspective, was that we didn't talk about this much last time. The heart rate monitor was very interesting to watch for these matches. Can I tell you, Party Wolf was anywhere between 50 and 160 BPM? What in the world? How is that a doable thing?
I feel like there was a flaw. I feel like there's a flaw in the system. It wasn't hooked up properly or something, man.
Yeah, what's going on out there? I don't know. Yeah. Other people are in, everybody's got an elevated heart rate. Or most people do.
Right.
So we're seeing a lot of like 130s and stuff like that, 140s here and there. But yeah, he was hanging out in like the 50s, the 60s. It was.
But I mean,
are you alive out there? This is an elevated thing.
Didn't they shut it off for the MK event because after a while they felt like it wasn't a good thing, like, you know, in case people had any sort of physical health problems or anything like that? They didn't.
So I don't know the reasoning, but in both that one and in this one, it wasn't every match. And I don't know if that's because one of the players or not like didn't want to do it or what. I don't know. But yeah, it wasn't every match this time either.
Okay.
But it was fun to watch from that angle, to see again, you know, you kind of like know when a player is really feeling exasperated already. You can tell, like looking at them. But yeah, it was interesting. It was definitely interesting, especially because Party Wolf has a wild range. Here's the results. Oh, have you watched it? Do you know what's going to happen, or am I about
I know who won. That's all I know. I don't know who's like in second and third and all that stuff.
All right. Well, first place, the winner of the whole thing was Woz with Setsuka and Taki. He went Taki at the end. And again, I'm no expert in this game, but people in the chat were talking about how Taki was really bad, and then they were like, "Wow, he's picking Taki." And then there were other people in the chat who were like, "Oh yeah, you guys think Taki's bad, huh? Oh yeah, check this out. Check out what's about to happen right here."
So that's season 1 leftover inertia again. You know,
okay.
She came out and was really bad, and you know, Flo was one of the people who came out right away and was like, "This character sucks," you know, basically. But she's good now. She's good now, and that's the thing. Well, that game is extremely well balanced. Soul Calibur 6 is like one of the most balanced fighting games, with every character still being so wildly crazy, and it's kind of nice. So
yeah, it's definitely the anime 3D game.
Yeah,
it's super cool. So that's it for Calibur.
Yeah, I definitely.
It was very cool. It's very cool that they got some of the people. Like I really liked listening to Kayane. She's done a lot of hosting kind of gigs in the last decade. It's been a while that she's been doing this kind of stuff. So she's great at that role.
Yeah, she's got a regular show that she does, I think. So
exactly. Yeah, she's actually a host. Yeah,
kind of.
So it's not. She's got a lot of practice in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very cool, and everybody involved was knowledgeable and fun, and it was great.
It was interesting. I was surprised when I found out that the commentators were all remote. Right? I mean, at least on
the actual live play-by-play commentary. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were remote, weren't they? Like they actually weren't there.
They were just
right. Okay.
They were being VR'd in. Maybe not everybody, but at least 2 of them were. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
That's how it was for the WePlay Dragon Temple as well. Ketchup. I don't remember if it was also Mustard, but they had at least.
Did KP? He was a host, and he was like doing the Kayane role then, basically, when he went out there for Dragon Temple the first time, right? Got it. Okay. Got it. Oh, I see. They ended with in-person commentators. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, there were 2 people who were there, and there were 2 people who were from home. The Tekken stuff we'll talk about in just a little bit, but before we get to that, just wanted to briefly say that there was also a Smash World Tour event in South America. Again, this is an ongoing thing where we're doing qualifiers right now. For this, boy, I'm going to say Briov won it. T.E. Briov won it with Snake and Steve. Second place was Anality with Ken and Terry. And then third place was O.W. Frito with Mr. Game & Watch. I don't know anything about this game's tiers, but when I saw that the top 3 included Steve and Ken and Terry and Mr. Game & Watch, I was like, this is actually super sick. I gotta check this out. Maybe that's common. I have absolutely no idea.
Thank you, Colo Crips, for the gift sub as well.
Ooh, thank you very much.
Also, someone mentioned in the chat, so I just added this over there. Bum just did a House of Chaos tournament this past weekend, and he has like 1,000 subs or something crazy like that.
I think he's got a lot more than 1,000 subs.
It's like 6,000 subs or something like that.
I believe so.
And so he did a major House of Chaos tournament that the prize was $10,000, like from his own money. So he was just like, here's $10,000. And so there you go. He did a DBFZ tournament, and apparently it was won by Hook Gang God. And Kill Sage was second, and Nitro was third. So there you go. Yeah, but shout outs to Bum, dude. I mean, that's so awesome to see him having so much success from that, dude. It's so cool.
Yeah.
People in the chat saying that it was super hype. And yeah, I mean, honestly, he's probably one of the main premier DBFZ streamers out there, you know. So a lot of the people who are big fans of that must have really enjoyed. That's probably why he has so many subs and everything like that, right? And it's just hype tournaments all the time. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Upcoming. A couple of things. We just talked a lot about WePlay, and they're going to be doing WePlay UFL for Tekken next week. Well, this week. Next weekend is when the actual matches are, but what is it? They've been doing Thursday and Fridays are the group stages.
Right.
And then Saturday is like, let's have a team tournament with your secondary characters or tertiary even. Right. And then the finals day is Sunday. And since it's group stage to get in, the top 8 is not like top 8 winners 4 people and then losers is another 4 people. It's everybody starts out in winner's side in the top 8. So it ends up taking quite a bit longer, which is cool. It means a lot of great matches, right? So this has Arslan Ash, Awais Honey, Super Akuma, Asim Tekken, Jopalix, Bilal, Saint, JDCR, Fergus, Daniel Madonia, Kuiper, Book, Gerlanda, some of these I don't know. Kira, and Boris Sonic. Yeah, I also don't look.
Again, these are all really good players from all over the world. Now, notably missing is anyone
and then Adnanish.
Yeah, and noticeably missing is any American player. There are no American players in there. And they have come out and said that they asked a bunch of American players, and pandemic and craziness and life, none of the Americans that they asked could make it. And so they, said that they tried. I know some people tried to get on their case about it, but they definitely tried. So.
And not just for Americans, but there were other players that they asked elsewhere as well, who some of them said so on Twitter that they just, they had life situations going on or whatever it was, they couldn't make it. That's how these things are.
Yeah.
It's also, it's a invitational.
By the way, in terms of results, another thing that I probably should mention as well was the Salt Mine League finished their season this past weekend as well. And so Problem X came out on top. They took it out over, but I mean, he took it over Hurricane. He has a big record against Hurricane, but Hurricane sent Problem X to losers. But then Hurricane just came back. I mean, then Problem X just came back on the loser side, and I think it was I think the first set was pretty close, but by the end, it was pretty clear that it was all Problem X at that point. So,
who's he playing that match now?
He was using Abigail against Cammy. He was using Abigail against Cammy, but he was definitely switching between Abigail and M. Bison, two very different characters to handle the different matches that he was playing in. So, but it was a really cool tournament. It was really hype. Good, great matches. So yeah, good stuff.
I bet.
Okay.
For the WePlay event, Tekken commentary, the analysts will be MYK and Rip. Commentators are going to be Kung Fu Kobe, Spaghetti Rip, Tasty Steve, and Markman.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So again, that's going to start on Thursday. Also wanted to let you know that Royal Rivals is doing an event this weekend in celebration of International Transgender Day of Visibility, which is when they announced this. They are running a charity tournament to support the Okra Project, which is dedicated to improving the lives of Black trans folks. So please check that out. That is on April 10th, the tournament is, which is on Saturday.
Okay.
Registration's open. Follow them on Twitter at Royal Rivals. You can find out the info. And on the YouTube, I'll have a link to that as well. Okay. Well, that's it. That's all I got for the news.
What about mailbag?
What about the mailbag? Let's get to the mailbag.
Sure.
The mailbag is our etc. It's if you'd like to send us a topic and it doesn't really fit into a 5-5 matchup, which is fighting game related and typically a little bit more meaty for discussion, but you want to ask us anyway, then this is the way to do it. So on YouTube, ZHAFSAN, Jafsan on YouTube, baseball bat versus knife. Two identical average dudes, not trained fighters, fighting to the death.
I think this
one has a good quality aluminum bat,
man.
and one has a large, good quality and sharp hunting knife. The arenas also average size, not small or too big to give either weapon an advantage. Who has the advantage? Who will win? James?
This is Casmer's fault, man. Everything has become a person versus person thing here at this point. You know what I'm gonna do here? I'm gonna try to do this. It's gonna still say it's a poll, but I just want to pop it up on the screen so people can see the question in its entirety over here. So baseball bat versus knife. There you go. Two identical.
Who do you got?
Average dudes fighting to the death. I say the knife guy has the advantage. I think the knife guy has the advantage just because if you decide to do a human tackle and just avoid any sort of technique and you just bum rush someone, if you're both rolling on the ground, a knife is a lot more scary than a baseball bat.
It takes one time for the baseball bat guy to screw up and the knife guy murders him. That's the problem here. I feel like for the most part, this would be baseball bat guy controlling the situation. But yeah, if knife guy rushes him and just happens to spear him at the right time, whatever it may be, that's it.
Yeah, and again, you know, people are saying that the bat has more range, but like I said, these are two average identical people, not trained in any sort of thing. And so if I had a knife and I wanted to fight someone with a baseball bat, like I said, you just run straight at him. He may hit you one time, you know, with the bat or something like that, but you just tackle him, you know, tubaware style, and then you're up close, and then you just jab him in the side. And what is the baseball bat guy going to do to you at that point in time? So,
look, I'm with you. I think having a baseball bat in a trained situation, if these two people are very trained, they're experts with their weapons. Maybe I like baseball bat guy.
Yeah, same. Mm-hmm.
Unless the knife guy's throwing his knife. I don't know. Anyway, assuming he's holding onto the knife. Maybe I like baseball guy.
Right.
But since they're untrained people, I feel like it's totally possible for knife guy to rush at baseball bat guy and to just get domed. Like right there. Like
right,
that's
yeah.
It.
Uh-huh.
However, and that's maybe likely if they're trained, if it's a trained baseball batter. But if it's instead just like some schmo, I don't know that they're going to be trained to do that. You're going to just happen to doink them at the exact moment that they dash in. I don't know if that's likely.
And would you hit them hard enough that you would actually just KO them like that?
You have to just do it in one hit. Yeah.
Right.
So it seems more likely to me that the one hit KO comes from knife.
Yeah, the knife does all the damage and does all the work by itself, right? It's going to pierce the skin if it's sharp enough.
You don't need to be trained to swing a bat. I'm just saying that if you're dashing in there, all you need is for that baseball bat guy to not have his wits entirely about him one time. And that's it, he dies. There's
a lot of people who are on Team Bat here. I'm very surprised.
I see that. There's a lot of bat folks in here. Okay. It's a metal bat. That was the rule here, is that it is an aluminum bat.
Right. Okay. Well, very
yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe El Slot says bat guy hits once and the knife guy will drop his knife. Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
But I mean, you also stab bat guy and bat guy drops the bat. That's it.
Like you can get hit and not be immediately out of commission.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get stabbed and not be immediately out of commission. You can get scratched if the guy just screws up with a knife or whatever, but if it's a large, sharp hunting knife, like it's just less likely that it's going to be like, oops, a scratch and not like a disemboweling.
Dang, everybody is on Team Bat.
You guys are all on Team Bat, huh?
Is there nobody who's on Team Knife here? Jeez, like...
I gotta tell you guys, I don't have a lot of experience in metal bat versus hunting knife. It's not a situation I've found myself in, but this is how I think it would go.
I mean,
it was a large hunting knife.
If we're talking about like a silverware knife. Yeah, Bat Guy wins for free, but I'm assuming that this is like an actual like combat knife, right?
It says a large, good quality and sharp hunting knife. That's the
There
question.
you go. Okay.
Deadliest Warrior. Yeah, what a show that was.
Are people saying this is a bat matchup? Okay, I like that. Tuhala wins. Okay. All right, next question.
Okay, let's go on to the
That's
next
true.
one.
That's Cody V Trigger 1, V Trigger 2 question, man.
That's right. Yeah,
Funny.
yeah. All right, let's save this one for last. So we're gonna
God.
jump down to the one after that. Phil Rufio asks, the opponent has taken your color. Do you pick your second favorite color or the default color? What do you do?
I mean, that's a weird question. Of course, it would be the second favorite color, right? I mean,
Maybe you have one color that you pick, and if not, then you just avoid picking a color entirely.
yeah.
I can't get my way? Fine. I'm not even gonna do color picking.
I mean, if I didn't have a second favorite color, maybe. But a lot of the times, especially with games where you can kind of see the color, I would definitely go look for like a second color that I liked. So, I don't know. Like, for me, color is very important. And so if someone takes my color, I still have to take a second. Like, if somebody takes purple Ken, I will go find my second favorite Ken, which might be, I mean, it's kind of the default, the light one. I like silver Ken, but that's the jab one. It replaced the default red one because you don't have red in Super Turbo anymore. But I probably would have picked it even if it was on another color. So
I think purple is the only good option there. IMO.
yeah, purple.
But
Ken
some
is-
characters, he's the best. But some characters have a lot of cool colors.
Mhm.
Some characters, like, most colors are cool. So in those cases, yeah, I definitely have backups that I pick for sure.
Like, if you picked my favorite medium kick color for Cammy, then I would probably pick heavy kick magnet Cammy,
Yes.
the dark gray.
Brown,
the red
Roundhouse is my pick. That's my first pick for her as well.
Yeah, no, that one's really good. Magnet Cammy
Roundhouse
is
is cool.
super good. Yeah,
Anyway, that's the solution there.
I did have
Then-
that situation on stream with Lucia, but I was first player, so I got the color.
Wow.
Ha!
Well, I've never been in a situation where somebody else has picked horrible Kappa outfit Honda. First of all, playing against another Honda, very rare. Second of all, playing against another Honda who picks Kappa outfit, very rare. Third of all, I've never been in a situation where somebody else has picked Kappa outfit Honda red version. I've never even seen that on like other people's replays. Like I've never come across somebody else using that color. I think I'm the only person on earth who plays that color. That's what I'm going with here. So no concern for me on that front.
Okay.
And in Mortal Kombat, I create my own outfits. So take that, everybody else. Here's what we're getting to next. Let's get to the Casmer question.
Yeah,
So I see the other one.
Makes
more sense.
That's important.
Who would win a local election? Can you put this one up?
Sure.
Who would win a local election? Mario. But he posted a really offensive joke on Twitter last week, claiming he was stressed out
shoot.
and got hacked. Or Luigi. But just after paying an undisclosed out-of-court settlement for when he hit a pedestrian with his go-kart 2 months ago. Who would win the local election?
All right, let me put this up for people here. There we go. Who would win a local election? Mario, but he posted a really offensive joke on Twitter last week, claiming he was stressed out and got hacked. Or Luigi, but just after paying an undisclosed amount of out-of-court settlement for when he hit a pedestrian with his go-kart 2 months ago.
This is more like the Casmer question that I was hoping for. So go check out EX Casmer on Twitter, who has all sorts of idiocy like this. For example, just tonight, SNK put out a silhouette of the next character. Have you seen that yet, James? It happened while we were doing this show.
I have not.
Okay, well, it's extremely obvious who it is.
Okay.
It's extremely obvious that it's Mai.
Uh-huh.
So Casmer says, "Whoa, Bayonetta." So that's the kind of genius that we're dealing with here. He's a real smart fella.
That was that considered genius or
Genius from Casmer. Here's the answer. Here's the answer to this question. It's a local election. It's Mario. It's absolutely Mario. Here's the big issue. Here's the big problem for Luigi, is that he is starting so far behind in popularity. Luigi has fans. I don't want to say he doesn't, but Mario is absolutely the more popular of the two. And so he definitely started off maybe like a 60% to 30% popularity difference there. I mean, he was way ahead. 10% didn't know what they were doing, but 60% were going for Mario. So he's starting from ahead. And if in politics, one side starts ahead of the other, and then both of them have negative news, they both get whittled down, and the person who started out ahead in the first place usually wins. Unless it's like way worse news. If it's way worse news, maybe a different situation. But these are both pretty gnarly. However, one of them is an offensive joke, and the other one is maybe Luigi murdered somebody a couple months ago. It's like a little bit different on that end. So I think that Mario started out ahead and that his thing isn't as bad. And he is the winner of the dog catcher race in the local election.
Dog catcher race.
They're running for dog catcher. That's actually a position that people run for in many cities.
Okay.
It's actually an elected position for no reason. Yes.
Luigi wins this one. Clearly. Because one, Luigi is just better in every single way because Mario is useless. Luigi, didn't you play Mario 2? Nobody used Mario. Luigi was MVP of that game, right? Okay, number one. Number two, once the cell phone footage is released and when they see Luigi hitting the guy and he drives by them and gives them the death stare, it becomes such a popular meme that he just wins because it's so damn funny watching the Luigi death stare, and it'll skyrocket to popularity. Like, there you go. Luigi is the winner.
I know you're a big Luigi fan, but fact, most people think that Mario is better than Luigi. Fact. Can you grant that fact? That's a fact.
Only foolish people. Yes, and that means... Well, and for sure the world is full of fools, so there you go.
Okay. Well, regardless, even as stupid as somebody may be, they're a voter, and that's how it should be. Democracy is that way, and that's what we trust in. And as a result, Mario definitely starts out way ahead.
How many times has Luigi saved Mario? He saved him when Mario was missing and he needed to study geography.
What have you done for me lately, James? That's what politics is about. What have you done for me lately?
In the mansion, Mario's never rescued Luigi, right? Luigi's always rescued Mario.
In 1800 or whenever it is that Luigi's Mansion came out, Luigi did something good. What have you done for me lately,
Luigi's Mansion. Mansion, come on. There's been like 4 Luigi's Mansion games. Luigi clearly the best, and he jumps higher too.
So all
Luigi would have to do is
can you trust a man who can't even have his own gravity? Can you truly trust somebody who plays such silly tricks with the very concept of gravity itself?
All you'd have to do is put a cat in a tall tree and be like, Mario, get the cat! And then Mario would go, oh, I cannot reach! And then Luigi would go, boom, and he would grab the cat out of the tree. Boom! Instant popularity. That's it. It's the end.
Well, congratulations to Mario on being a true leader and getting his underling and secondary, Luigi, to do his work for him.
It's time
Whereas Mario was there, the smart man, just letting his bum sidekick Luigi handle it.
It is time
for
the person who does the actual work to take it. And don't forget, Luigi could also bring up Mario's shady history of capturing Donkey Kong and putting him into a cage. And, then Donkey Kong Jr. had Mario has been a villain in a video game. Luigi has not. What do you say to that, bud?
There, though. Luigi was there too. He just was wearing red overalls. In fact, there were multiple Marios. That can't exist. So one of them was Luigi.
That was just
buddy.
That was a Mario clone.
No, I'm sorry. Luigi was engaged in that as well. And Luigi has killed just as many Koopas. You don't think he's responsible for all these Goomba deaths out there? Of course he is. Of course he is. These are 2 murderers we're talking about. So one of them starts out as being more popular. The other one is less popular. The thing that Mario did is not as bad than actually murdering somebody, which Luigi did again. Mario wins this election. He's the new dog catcher in the local election.
Disagree. I still think it's all Luigi because Luigi is just better. Fact. That's it. That's the end of the argument right there.
Thanks to DJ Blues for the 100 bits. Here's our final mailbag question of the night from Zaqueri. Would you rather do a whole show where you have to answer 150 EX Casmer questions? Or would you rather have Casmer on for a regular show? Which one would you rather have, James?
Is that his alternate account? That has to be his alternate account. It has to be Casmer's alternate account, right?
That is exactly what I thought. I think this is Casmer for sure.
Yeah.
Casmer asking his own question about himself. Would you rather, though, regardless of the source of the question, answer 150 Casmer questions, or would you rather have him on for a regular show?
I would rather answer 150 Casmer questions. I think, because that would probably be weirdly entertaining, and if I wanted to stop, I could just say, whatever, Mario.
Yeah, you could just half-ass it. Whereas if he's on the show, a little bit harder to just half-ass and get him away. However, I will tell you.
And not only that, but he would ask those questions while he's on the show anyway.
Yeah, having him on the show means answering 150 EX Casper questions during the show. Those are actually the same. Except one of them means he's actually staring at you and posing the questions himself.
And then trying to make sure we interpret it the correct way, too. So
yeah, absolutely right. The truth is that we've had Casmer on the show. He's been on the show as a guest in person when we were actually doing these things in real life back in the day.
Yeah, when he said that Howard the Duck was going to be in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I think it was.
So he had a whole... That was Marvel Infinite, I think.
No, it was 3, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't in 2011 that we were having that conversation, for sure.
Okay.
It must have been for Infinite.
Okay.
But here's the situation, right? So he came up with an entire list of who he thinks is going to be in Marvel Infinite. One of them was Howard the Duck, yes. He had other equally bizarre people who were going to be in the video game. And he must have asked a dozen times to be on the show, to come onto the show and explain why it is that each one of these is actually going to be in the game. Howard the Duck, he had all these reasons, and he really wanted to be on the show to talk about it. But we did have him on the show, and
I can't believe that
it wasn't...
happened.
I don't remember what we talked about now, but it was definitely something hilarious. I don't know. It was years ago at this point. But in conclusion, he's been on the show in the past.
So I finally started playing Street Fighter V again. Finally going into the new season, playing on the PC. It's definitely a different experience.
Wait, before we get to that, can we just have a concluding... I would have Casmer on the show, and you would have 150 questions?
Oh, so you said you would have Casmer on the show?
I actually would have Casmer on the show.
Even though we would answer 150 Casmer questions anyway?
Yes.
Okay.
It'd be funnier. All you can give it is the head nod. Not even verbalizing an assent there. Can't even verbalize it. All right, so you've been playing Street Fighter V lately.
Yeah, so I had to smurf because I'm playing on the PC on a monitor without the 2 frames of lag and trying to approach Lucia in a completely different fashion now because I've realized now that I feel like I've been playing her almost exactly opposite of how she should be played. I've never played a Fireball character before, so I'm bad at Fireballs, and so I just didn't try playing her that way. So I made it to Super Gold in one day on 2 giant streaks. I only lost 1 game. It's actually kind of impressive that the way they have it now is that if you get a win streak, you start building up stupidly massive, large amounts of points because they're just trying to get you out of that rank. So that's actually really smart. So obviously it's nothing to brag about having 2 big win streaks because I was just going through rookie bronze and silver and stuff like that. But I mean, it definitely feels a little bit better, and I would be super happy to. I'm really enjoying it, and hopefully I can carry this a little further and see if my new style of Lucia play actually works out once I start getting into Platinum and stuff like that. So
awesome, man.
I'm really excited to
out.
figure. I mean, it's really interesting too because it's one of those things that highlights fighting games. I just been playing her at the wrong range this entire time, and I need to play. I needed to play at a further range and actually use her fireballs.
Okay.
I was just trying to play her like a budget Cammy, because that's basically what she really is. If you try to play that game, she's a terrible version of that character. She can't win in that range. So there you go.
Cool, man. I hope that works out. Mm-hmm. I have not played fighting games in about a month, but
what?
I did. Yeah, I've just been super busy, and all the time that I've had that's been free has actually gone to making my 3D printer work because it's not working. Dude. I just got another thing that broke. The little belt on it, on one of the motors that like helps, the thing move left and right. That broke.
I mean, are these standard problems with 3D printers?
So I definitely bought a cheaper one with the intention of upgrading it. And I did get some of those upgrades, but I didn't think that I needed a belt upgrade because I didn't read that was like a common issue, but it did snap for me. So I'm talking with the seller about just sending me a new one rather than, a new belt, not a whole new
And what did you
printer,
need programming for
fixed.
on the 3D printer?
Oh, for compiling the BIOS that it's running on. That's right,
Whoa.
James.
Okay.
That's right.
So
I know how to do that now.
That's so weird. Okay.
And I did some real like electrical engineering type stuff in trying to diagnose what the issues were with this baby a little bit earlier, and I did figure them out. I got it all figured out. And then this is true, I did exactly one print. This guy, I was going to print a new little thing that went on the printer to help, it's called a BL Touch, to help it figure out exactly where it is in like Z space.
Okay.
And as that was happening, the belt snapped. So I got about half of the way through this guy, and now it's useless. So anyway, hopefully at some point I'll have a functioning 3D printer. That will happen eventually.
Canadian Ed mentioned this. There was also the Kachitagari 20-hour stream where Fudo Bonchan and Moke were trying to get 3 11-game win streaks with 11. And in the span of that time. And they got to 2 of them, and they were about to finish the 3rd at the 10th game, and they ran into and lost to Momochi, who sniped them, and after he won, popped off and was like so happy he killed their streak. So they failed to get the 3 11-game win streaks because Momochi trolled them.
Nice work.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be using the 3D printer to make new designs. But I did want to shout out Layer Shift, who sent me this guy, the Loki attachment.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to this, baby. Ooh. Oh, yeah. That's real nice sounding. So this is basically just, it goes into the little hole of a joystick, or you take out the joystick, which was here previously, a little Sonway in here in the drone, combat drone, and this installs in here very nicely. It's basically a hitbox attachment, and then there's also the Odin, which is this same idea, right? So here's the little. Let me show you how this works. So you stick this end of it in there.
Okay.
Right, you can see the little shaft here, and it goes in there. You have these babies to just attach it on just by pressure underneath, right under the panel, and then you have this, and you're just kind of playing a mixed box style.
Right, it's the WASD format, right?
WASD,
so,
yeah.
Okay.
So there's ways to do both the mixed box or hitbox style, and there are different switches in them as well, so you can try different styles on that front. I'm really planning to do a review on this, but like I said, I haven't actually played fighting games in about a month, so I haven't actually gone to test these out quite yet. But I really like the idea. The idea is super sick.
Right. Okay, cool. Well, good luck with the 3D printer stuff. I mean, it's kind of a bummer. But
I mean, I'll figure it out. It's not that big of a deal. It's like getting any new technology and trying to learn how it works.
No,
I mean, I'm absolutely at like level 1 when it comes to anything electrical engineering or certainly programming. Not even level 1, basically. But it is cool to learn like the absolute basics of something. You know, I'd like to know more, but it's nice to be able to have a problem and then be like, oh, I have to learn something to have the solution, and then you learn the thing, and now you have a solution, and then there's a new problem. I like that kind of experience. So for me, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work, and it's been exasperating, but also really fun.
Okay.
And at some point, this will work. Anyway, check out the Odin and the Loki. They're very cool.
Okay. I guess put a link in the description for.
Yes, I will. Again, I'm planning to do an actual review. I'm trying to wait until I've played with them to give an actual like set of informed thoughts, which I don't really have yet.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add, or are we done for the day?
I'm good. Let's skedaddle.
Ooh, that's very quiet. Nobody can.
I didn't realize it's 8:45 at night. How did I? Wow.
Yeah, we went for quite some time there, so.
We sure did. It's only about an hour until my bedtime, James.
Jesus, I just woke up right for the Capcom thing.
Not exactly. I'll be asleep by 10:30 though.